A cold, hard wind is blowing across the cliff sides. Full day's travel east of Shepherd's End. Waves are crashing against the rocks down below, and you can see the wreckage of the night flower hailed on the rocks, piercing up from an angry sea. The entire landscape is covered in white, and you've had to bring your warmest clothes in order to stay comfortable here now in what's become a deep winter, which should still be a crisp autumn. Out there in the water, you know, somewhere is the creature with which you'd made a bargain, and the tear that leads to some other place.
Do we have anybody else accompanying us besides Dream?
I don't think so. Unless you wanted to bring, yeah.
I think Charlotte might have brought up that someone would probably need to stay on the coast to keep a fire tended because they're gonna want that given how close it is.
Yeah, well, you guys are all currently, up on the rocks right now.
Oh, maybe one of the people who aren't present currently can be that actually.
Yeah, so Vithedrian, he's kind of kneeling down at the edge of the cliffs, surveying across the water, wrapped up in thicker cloak than you're used to see him wearing around the town. And he says, I should have a good vantage point from here, but if you need my support, you'll need to bring whatever creature that is to the surface.
He'll when we summon it, they should be near the surface. I think it understands at the very least that we can't naturally communicate with it underwater, so it should be visible from here once we make communication with it. But I don't think I want to believe that it's not going to attack us outright.
I suppose we'll see. Go over this device one more time.
Yeah, sure. Where'd Dot go? And Esmond will look around and kind of wave her over.
Who are you waving over?
Oh,
Ava.
yeah. Hey, she comes over and sort of blows on her hands a little bit and rubs them together. Sort of nods at you, like ready to like learn.
Okay. It's relatively simple. It's just a matter of making sure you don't uh, mix up any of the directions. Otherwise, it won't switch to the setting that you want it at, or worst case scenario, it could blow up immediately in front of you. Um, See this knob here? You're gonna want to twist this either full 180 degrees clockwise. That's the setting to release electricity and begin closing the portals. If you turn it the opposite direction, 180 degrees the opposite way, that will release the opposite energy to that will release the opposite energy to expand the portals. There are switches and latches here. If you click these three together, it will open up the hatch on the back end, allowing you to access the Sunstone Gym should you need to. Um, and then here you can set a time, or uh, it can have up to 1 minute before it detonates. Um, or you can have it release the energy immediately. You will be harmed. There's no getting around that. Remember that it is a 20-foot radius of whatever energy that releases. So if anyone is within that range, they will be taking the brunt of that damage as well. And Esmond will go into additional he'll pull out some schematics as well that kind of go into additional detail of like how particular switches and buttons connect into the device and operate in order with the other switches that cover the outer the shell of the device.
Okay. As she's watching, Ava's taking like careful study of it, trying to observe and mimicking with her hands and gestures all the things he's doing, as if to try to mentally go through the motions along with him. When he's done, she sort of closes her eyes and goes through the process again in her head to see if she has any questions. And feeling pretty confident she understands at least how to operate the device based on his explanation and then the brief schematics, which she barely understands even just the most general concept of what's happening. Um, she kind of at least feels confident enough. She's like, she says, okay, I think I can operate it, but yeah, I mean, hopefully we won't have to, obviously. Yeah, just removing the sunstone. I know you said these buttons would release it, and she like mimics pressing the buttons and like where it would probably come out. She's like, but would is there any danger like if you start the machine, or if you remove it, will it just cancel it, or is it dangerous to do that or anything?
That's actually a decent question, DM. If someone were to attempt to remove the sunstone mid charge of the device, what could I speculate on what would happen with that?
Roll investigation or tinkering tools.
Patrick, roll me a d20 and tell me what it is, please.
Okay. We've got close to what Kevin needs, but we're not quite there yet. We're getting close. All right, you got a 14 on the die.
29 total. Investigation.
Jeez.
It doesn't matter, actually. That would be the same number.
Yeah, attempting to remove the sunstone from the device while it's charged and engaged without going through the regular processes you've set up there with the device would endanger the sunstone in the same way as using it, but without getting the benefit.
If you were to try and remove the sunstone mid-charge, you are essentially releasing that entire output without the proper tunneling mechanisms. So essentially, you are releasing a free charge while putting the gem in danger still of the device overcharging it, essentially.
Okay, so all of the energy would be able to channel out, so instead it would funnel into the device improperly and potentially self-destruct, but it would prevent the discharge, so it wouldn't actually. Okay, so it's like an emergency off switch that's still just gambling on the fact that it won't blow itself up. I think I got it. Okay.
Yeah, I just general recommendation, if it is charging, just let it finish charging and just don't let it don't set it off. It's better to have a charged device that you can re- release that energy later and access the gem if you need to, than to try and access it mid charge. That's just putting yourself and the gem in danger.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm ready. She looks to Vithedrin. Sir, you got it?
That button for yes, that button for no.
No, it's the opposite of that.
Araya, like,
Okay.
almost pipes up and then is just like, no, wait.
I mean, yeah, Ava can run you through everything again. One final point. If you intend to operate the device and have it release a greater output of energy. These 3 switches are going to be the most important things to do that. It's currently set for the lowest output, but if you flip this switch and flip these other 2 the opposite way, that'll give you the next charge up. Um, uh, Flip the middle one and the outer 2 the opposite. Next level up, so on and so on, essentially, until you reach the maximum output possible. But as a reminder, for every level of output that increases the potential of the device uh, self-destructing by at least 25%.
Got it. Okay. About 25%, about 50%, about 75%.
So there's a 3 factorial chance of an increased 25.
Whoa, they taught me.
Wait, what? So it's gonna get less and less likely to work the more we use it?
Well, it works 100% of the time. What's going to potentially happen is that the sunstone inside of it could potentially self-destruct after the discharge. And what we're risking is the more powerful, the ignition or the blast, I guess. He can explain it better, but the more likely it is that it's gonna destroy itself and we won't be able to use it again.
You're not.
Did
Your
you might have
your microphone
disconnected.
might be unplugged.
Yeah, I heard Patrick not coming.
Basically, in short, the greater the charge, the greater the potential of the device exploding and being unusable from that point on.
Is there a chance of it definitely exploding if you pump up the power?
It's not designed to explode on purpose. I could see about adding a feature like
No,
that by
that's a not feature. That's an unfeature. Opposite.
I'm just I everyone else is ideas. I engineer. Um, Point being, no, it's not designed to explode. It is designed to try and keep together, despite how great the output of energy is.
So, if I'm remembering correctly, we haven't quite used this yet, right?
Oh, it's never been used now.
Right. So, why are we hemming and hawing about it? Didn't we make this thing, or you made this thing so that we could send this giant fish home? Let's go and do it. Let's knock on a door. If it doesn't work, then what? What else we're gonna use it for anyway? Sending the Aranaka home? Where?
I agree. Let's go.
Yeah. This is what we made it for. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if we don't try, we can't do anything.
I'm
Good
just
point,
I'm
yeah.
just I'm just yes, I just want to go over the mechanics of how it operated one last time, just to make sure that somebody can operate the device if I am not available at that time.
And
Okay.
you're also managing expectations, but none of us are going to be disappointed in you if it doesn't work, as.
She's right. But one last question. Based on where the portal is now and where you're trying to get it to, what strength are you going to attempt it at to get it to open up to the size we want, or that it wants?
Well, that was part of the discussion I want to have with everyone. I was thinking that I would just set it at its lowest charge, since it's this is technically the first time that it's actually been used. I know it's going to work, but there's a difference between knowing something will work and actually putting it into practice. Um, my thought, my recommendation is that if we want to use this device moving forward, if we have time, if we can negotiate with this creature and have it go away for an hour, that should grant us enough time to release several low charges to open the portal wide enough for it to come through. And should anything occur, if we need to suddenly turn around and shut the portal as quickly as we can throw our own spells to try and shrink it as much as possible until the device is ready to charge for the uh, opposite energy to start closing it.
Hmm. Esmond, roll Arcana or Investigation. Advantage if you have both.
I do have both. Patrick, would you roll me 2 d20s, please?
Sure can.
Roll for me.
I want a little dice rolling servant too.
You have kids.
I was just gonna say, could summon a kid in.
All right, Kevin.
They would love that, and you're gonna
Not-
get the worst rolls ever.
Yeah, not the best. Speaking of which, it is a 5 and a 6. 6 is the highest.
What is the max rolls, Patrick?
That's fine. 21 investigation.
Okay. Yeah, you're not exactly sure what's, because you haven't had a chance to fully test the device. You're not sure what level you'll need for this portal.
If it had a chance of exploding with every charge, wouldn't it be better to just try and get it as close as possible with one charge?
Yeah, do the medium one. Start in the middle and then.
Well, I think statistically, no. It depends. It's less likely to detonate if you use the lowest charge sequentially than if you try to use the largest charge a single time.
So
I
his
was
eyes have
saying in the
immediately started
middle.
glazing over the moment give us it statistically, and she just says, "Well, all right, if you figure it out."
Esmond, I will say, even with the terrible rolls, a 21 is enough for you to know that multiple instances of the lowest setting is not the same as doing the highest setting. They don't work together that way.
All right, I shouldn't have done math. That's fine. I don't even know if I did it correctly.
No,
I
no.
don't think you did it correct.
I'm not
one
talking about the math portion of it. I'm talking about just the way the device would work, the way the magic would work.
Got it.
Just stick to bones, Doc.
Because it's 25% each time, and I don't know if probability-wise that would just be 1/4 times 1/4 times 1.
No, because that would be
You add
decreasing.
them. You would add them, right? If you
Well,
What I'm saying,
So-
what I'm saying is this: even if the second level is twice as strong as the first level, in terms of the way the magic would work, Esmond is able to know it's not the same thing. Like, hitting the threshold, they're not cumulative. You have to hit the threshold.
Oh,
yeah,
I
you
got
gotta
it.
go. I say the safest route is to go for a middle once. I think you gotta start in the middle. I don't see.
Is there a
It's what
And
feels right to the maiden.
what's the risk? Wow, you really speak for the gods. You're very sure of what she thinks, huh?
I did consult them.
What is the drawback if it is too strong for what's necessary?
It explodes.
Well, no, that's the. It has a 50-50 chance instead of a 1 in 4 chance. But I think she's asking if you try to overcharge it, and let's say it only needed a quarter, but it only needed 1, but you went for 2. Does it make the hole like too big, or does it rip something? Could we do too much?
Yes, thank you. That's what they meant.
That falls into interplanar portal tearing, which I really haven't had time to kind of dig into. I mean, my immediate
roll Arcana. I'll give you some information.
All right, D20, here we come.
God, please roll better this time.
Don't tell me what to do, Jess.
Just anything.
There you go. You got a natural 20, Kevin.
that would be a 30 total.
Oh, that makes it so much better than it was before. Jesus Christ, 5 and a 6.
You don't foresee any negative consequences of overkill, basically.
I mean, if the portal were to be overcharged, I can't see anything occurring to it other than it expanding larger than what we had initially anticipated, I suppose. I mean, anything can happen, but I'm relatively confident that there wouldn't be any negative consequences to an overcharge to the tear.
Oh, sorry, and I should just mention. I was definitely giving you that from the perspective of closing a portal, not opening one.
Oh.
I reiterate
So we
that for
start
the closing aspect.
small.
Okay.
Oh, start small, then too huge to close it after.
Wow, the maiden really backpedaled there, didn't she?
Well, I still stand by my middle, but now that he said that closes it, that sounds like a different
I
equation.
also just generally feel better if we use lower charges and reduce the chances of destroying the device, considering that while the other tears are important to close, this is the only one that also has a devil's bargain that we made attached to it that I would like to follow through on and make sure that everyone comes out of this, alive.
Okay, so
Doesn't that indicate then a bigger charge first? Because if it doesn't work the first time, then we use it the second time. There's a
That's why
higher
I was
chance of
thinking the
exploding.
middle road. Yeah, like the less times we use it is the better. So why not go in the middle?
So why not go for the biggest?
Oh, that's also a good point.
If the device is destroyed and the portal still isn't big enough to let the thing through, then we're not going to have any means of opening it immediately, much less closing it at that point.
I think a more important thing is if it's set to the highest charge and actually does work the way that it's intended and opens the portal to the size that the creature needs, or even greater than, but it's destroyed in the process, then we've created an immense tear, potentially larger than what we needed, and one we can't close.
I thought you said that you could help close it by your own magic energies.
You can shrink it, but not close it entirely.
Ez knows what he's doing. Ez, whatever you think is best, let's do it.
Okay, yeah, I'll just figure out whatever you set it on. Besides, you're gonna do it, and it's gonna be fine. Right, Casey?
Exactly. And if the creature tries to change the deal, gets impatient or whatnot, then we'll change the deal too.
However pale Esmond is naturally, you seemingly see more color drain from his face as his situation really seems to set in for him as to what it is that he's what he's.
The poor boy's desaturating.
Are you gonna
She'll
be
like
okay?
lay a hand on your shoulder. Do you mind if I lay a prayer over the device before we begin? It might help.
Yeah, Araya, if you keep your hand on him, his color will come back at least.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
I think anything will help.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it the highest aspiration that we all work really well together? Technology and the gods. Hand on your shoulder, hand on the device.
Isn't it morning? Is she drunk already?
I do not imbibe, I'll have you know. I barely had time for tea this morning because of how early we had to set off. And is it possible, just for, flavor, to like do like an aid or a bless on a device? I don't think that works, right? Like, but I don't know how an...
Never know until you try.
She's gonna do it anyway.
Blow on the device.
For real though, this is have no statistical advantage.
The device is actually a Sega Saturn cartridge.
That increases my confidence. If it was a Dreamcast, we'd be in trouble.
Oh my god, just...
Okay, don't diss the Dreamcast, man. Come on.
Dreamcast was incredible.
We were a Nintendo family.
Ooh, I mean, that's fine. Nintendo's pretty cool.
Okay. As they're going over the final details of the device,
Is this a saving throw or an ability check kind of thing that you're about to perform? Because I'll cast it on you, but with the hand on the device, and then it actually will.
I don't think anything's
I'm
happening.
not going to
right
answer
now.
the question because I don't know if the GM wants me to answer the question.
Okay, then I'm going to cast guidance.
There you go. You've got 1 minute. Get to swimming.
Oh, I'll do that. Sorry, that's true.
Can you do enhance ability first and then guidance later?
Roll him off the cliff.
Get out there, boy.
Well,
Did I?
Ez can shoot like air jets to zoom across the water. No? Am I making that up?
You can?
Can't you?
What?
What the fuck?
Casey, tell him he can do that if he just believes.
Salinger's mental image of
Yeah.
of Esmond is just very different.
Esmond's a jet ski.
Oh, God. Wait, no, God damn it. Sean, I think you're right. I think I actually do. I think I can do something like that as a spell.
Ooh, nice.
Boy, jet ski, boy, jet ski, boy, jet ski.
Well, as you guys are going over the final details of the device, and Araya is blessing it in preparation for what lies ahead. Give me at least a little glimpse of what everyone's actual winter clothing is like, and any extra preparations that you might or might not be making.
I'm wondering why enhanceability is not showing up as like one of my, because I still can put a new spell in, and that sounds like a real sweet one on my side.
Is it not showing up?
And I have access to this spell list.
I don't know. It's a second level spell. It showed up for me. You just dragged it over.
Oh, there it is.
Chris, you wanted... Oh,
Yeah,
you go.
Yeah, so yeah, at the least what everyone's winter clothing is, and if you're making any additional preparations before you guys begin whatever you're doing, it'd be also a good time to.
When Ava got up in the morning before walking out, she had put on the typical, relatively rugged travel clothes, or was wearing the rugged travel clothes that she typically did. But when she got up after leaving the house and stepping outside, she looked around and recognized the cold breeze that sort of cut through it. Sort of shivering, she then sort of basically snapped her fingers, and then her clothes transformed, and she was wearing a more of a heavy furs that sort of covered her entire body in thick winter clothing, along with a heavy hood that hung over the back for her to pull up over her head.
Mask on or off?
Oh, right now it's on. Oh, and for preparations, apologize. Standing on the shoreline, recognizing this, she confirms with Esmond that he's going to be okay in the cold water. I think he is, right? Kevin, he's going to be okay in the cold water?
I should be fine, yeah. I don't...
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be up to the DM, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, in that case, at least for right now, she's once again going to be doing aid, and it's going to be on the same characters, I think, this time. So Casey, Esmond, and Ava herself are all going to get aid, and just add 15 points to your max health HP.
Well, I'm gonna take the suggestion of the prayer she'll lay on Esmond's shoulders enhance ability, because that is A+. Fuck that 1 minute limit.
What are you enhancing? No, the ability. Which?
I know,
Oh, okay.
I know.
It wasn't an entendre. It was just a question.
It was a single entendre.
Intelligence.
My eyes go wide as suddenly the world becomes numbers. It's the Matrix. No. Esmond is wearing more clothes than he's generally comfortable wearing, or certainly thicker clothes than he's comfortable wearing, but still not as much as everyone else, probably, since he's got that kind of natural breeze about him that helps him kind of circulate his own temperature to lesser extent. But he's still wearing his poncho that he wears pretty much throughout every season. But he's also got a scarf wrapped around his neck that was knitted by his mom. That is tugged tight and kind of tucked into the poncho, and underneath the poncho he's wearing fur-lined pants and a long sleeve shirt underneath that same actually no, less color than usual. Brown fur-lined pants and like a beige a sweater underneath that, and thicker leather gloves. And he's prepping by just letting Araya do what she's going to do as he stares out in the direction of the portal, still pale, his color returning slowly, but his eyes wide, and uh, anyone would recognize that this is the look that he has whenever he's doing a series of internal calculations running through uh, numbers and simulations in his own head.
With her hand placed on his shoulder and also the device, she is, whispering just the gentle, like, cadence of a prayer that, like, you might be used to by now if you've been around her at any meal time, at any morning time, at any bedtime. And may your mind be clear and your thoughts crystal as you find the absolute best possible solution to everything. This may the maiden open your eyes so that you might see the solutions we need for this tear in the world before us, and that you can see and pierce the realm of... And it just continues on. It's a longer prayer than usual, but yeah.
Did you give us Araya's winter clothes?
Oh.
It's cool.
It's just more robes, honestly. Like, this is not fancy. She just...
Just, she put on extra 3 days worth of robes.
It's just more robes. It's just more fabric, much to Sal's chagrin. She has like a heavier veil on the back of her, and it's like as long as a cloak and buckled in the front, but it's honestly just more volume of fabric. Time for me to draw winter robes.
As all this is going on, Casey is kind of staring out over the edge of the cliffs into the ocean. He scratches the back of his head and says, "You've always been able to open these portals, as that's just the time to do it." And there's a steam coming off of him from where the cold air hits his warm body. His outfit's not too different from typical. He does have his normal sandals on, but his legs are wrapped in kind of a grayish white wrap, feet up to about just below the knee, and then his pants come down to just below the knee as well. He's still wearing his vest pretty widely open, but it is a fur vest this time. And his arms are also same sort of wrap, starting just below the fingers, kind of wrapping up. Fingers are clear, but the hand and up to just mid forearm, he's wrapped up there. Hair is just open, no hood or anything like that, and there's just steam and heat coming off.
The party noticeably stands closer to you.
Everybody's cuddled to Casey for warmth? What?
Right? Fucking bonfire.
On
For
a
some reason,
similar
all the cats followed Casey when during winter.
Peach isn't cuddled up to Casey, but I do imagine that she has not left Sal's relative size and warmth very far. She's wearing the fantasy equivalent of like 80s ski gear. I imagine it's Miranda's old equipment, so it's from like a couple decades previous. It's still in good shape, but it wouldn't be fashionable now. But it still looks cute also, because it's, bright colors of the whatever year it was. Fashionable. Yeah, she's kind of blowing into her hands where she's not wearing gloves. She kind of has just mittens around that like have the tops that pop off. She's blowing in her hands, and she kind of looks up at Sal and says, "How long are we gonna be out here? Gotta get this over with."
Well, who's going in the water?
Esmond, right? He's do it.
Esmond, it's still looking forward, just raises his hand.
We're going to take the time we need to do it right. Sal has let his mutton chops kind of grow in a little bit thicker as the weather's been getting colder. He keeps things trim, keeps shaving mostly, but a little bit of jaw warmth there. He's got 3 visible layers, as well as a skull cap that he keeps avoiding wearing, but occasionally gets cold and pulls it over his hair again, then fixes it, pulls it over again. He's got a charcoal gray waxed linen long coat. It's kind of a high collar. He pulls up against the wind as they move by. And then a fur-lined second layer with what you can barely see is a little bit of the wetsuit that we wore underneath those jackets that he could pull back and jump in the water if he needed to. And tall boots, the kinds that he had to wear when he was working at the docks. He's not super comfortable in them. They're not super cool looking, but they're very functional for what we're doing.
And he hates every minute of it.
Hates the hat, hates the boots, everything else is fine.
Just to give you some warning, whatever you're doing that's adjusting your microphone's super loud.
Sorry. Confession. I dropped it. The base and stand is being held together by tape, so I'll just keep holding it.
Yeah, so Vithedrian kind of takes position, and there's a cleft of rocks where he could lean his shoulder against and give us a vantage point out over the ocean surface, out to the crescent formation of rocks that shields the tear that's beneath the water. He sets up there and kind of lifts the rifle, leans on his knee. You get the impression that's where he plans to stay.
It has on what basically looks like a fur-lined poncho, thick and wool, and then with a lining. So on the inside, does not or has her usual gloves on, and added a little bit of trim on the inside to help keep her hands warm and insulated, and boots just up to a knee or so. Most of it she's kind of just draped in this heavy cloak that goes down to about mid-thigh. And the occasionally shows flashes of the wool and fur wrappings that she has on underneath. Occasionally she also has a thick fur hat that she pulls down when needed. At the moment, though, she is carefully stripping off most of the heavier items, keeping only a fairly light amount of wool on her. And she's actually going to do that last just before they go to the cliffs, but she's during the time when people are doing other preparations, she's building up a fire out of whatever can be found nearby: wood, tinder, dung, anything that might burn.
That's good. Yeah, so before too long, there's a small fire going, and all of you have made at least your initial preparations. You've got the single dinghy that you guys have left. You brought with you along the coast. You've got it tied up, not too far away, in a portion where the water's a bit calmer. Yeah.
So who is going? Is everybody? Not everybody needs to go, right?
That water's gonna be like super cold. But we're not gonna be any use all the way up on the rocks, but we're also not gonna be able to last. Like, once we get soaked, I mean, it's gonna be really tough for most of us to get warm again, I think.
We need to be close enough to help if it does go sideways.
Yeah, but
the portal is around that bent rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll
That
set
might.
up.
Is that too close or too far?
I'm
Well-
not sure I understand the question.
You mean if we stand on it?
Yes. Will it be too close if it explodes, or will it be too far to not be of any use to someone cylinder?
That's probably a good place to be, but when we swim out there, that's where we'll need to have this fire set up, because
Why do we need to swim?
We're taking the boat.
We have
Yeah.
a boat.
out of character, we have a boat?
You have the one dinghy. It'll hold 6 people.
Okay.
So not everybody can get with.
I mean, we can make two trips.
Okay. Let's lower the boat down and I guess head out.
It's really worth mentioning the crescent rock that hides the tear is not like a flat, easy thing to stand on. It's like jagged rock. You'd be like hanging onto it if you were up above the water.
Better than the water.
And there's not enough surface level wreckage to stand on comfortably either.
There could be, but that's actually pretty far away from the crescent rock.
Do we have any way to try to, I don't know, stand on the rock easier?
Well, I mean, we can be in the boat. We can be in the boat too, if you don't want to be on the rock.
How would...
6 of us can.
Okay.
At least one of us has to go in the water. We were talking like that's Ez to set it off.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if it goes sideways, it didn't really have much of an issue getting rid of the boat last time. But
Things won't go sideways this time. We're here to follow up on a deal that we struck.
okay.
Exactly.
Yep, straight ahead, no sideways.
All right, let's go. Who's we're gonna take 2 trips, or can you swim without being cold?
Nope. Once I get in the water, I will be affected immediately. It's not like on the land where I can mitigate some of the cold with my own natural air. The water's kind of an all-encompassing thing. I can just stay down there for a very extended period of time.
Shit.
How far is the crescent rock from the shore?
About 500 feet.
Maybe I can make a second boat.
What?
Casey kind of looks down at the water and moves his hand one way and the other and kind of waves it over the surface. Chris, can I freeze a 5 foot by 5 foot section of water into a little iceberg?
Yeah, you would be able to do that. Granted, these are still rough waters, but
Yeah, they are. And then he waves another hand, this time over the ground on the shore, and little bits of it start to rattle and lift into the air. And he spreads a thin layer of kind of dirt and debris on top of the ice. I mean, that should give it a little more traction. Unless we just want to make 2 trips.
I don't think anyone wants to stay behind.
Nope.
Let's put a couple people, 1 or 2 people on there, see if it holds, and if it does, then we can slowly bring them behind the boat. Otherwise, 2 trips should suffice. But either way, we need to. Somebody needs to get out there and get this, get the creature's attention before it gets any darker and any colder.
I'll just gonna roll forward off to the iceberg.
I
You said-
miss. Yeah, I miss what Shalati said.
She just walks forward off the iceberg. She turns around and puts her hands on her hips and just waits.
Yeah, when you step onto the floating ice, you realize it's not necessarily easy to keep your balance on. Doing anything at all challenging might start to require acrobatics rolls.
Casey grins at her and says, "Yeah, I'm gonna go for a ride."
I want to get to where we are going. And we are wasting time.
I assume you brought rope.
Of course.
It's settled then. You can pull it behind the boat. 6 in the boat.
And you lash some rope to the boat.
Are you staying on shore specifically? Or are you coming with us?
Who, me?
With Adrian.
Thedrian's still up on the cliffs. Yeah, he's taken a position up there with his rifle.
Six on the boat, 3 on the barrack. Yes. Are Tibet and Cypher assumed to just be someone?
That's a good question. Yeah, the players who aren't here, we can say that they're here and they'll stay with the fire, maybe.
So 7 total going out to the rocks.
And I will stay on the ice. Salimshad, I assume you can roll.
Yeah, I can roll. We gonna get moving. The sooner this is over, the better.
Yeah.
Sure. Ava
Starts
settles,
rowing then.
yeah, Ava settles into the boat as Sal starts to row.
And you guys row the small digging out from the very small and isolated little cove of protection that where the waters are a little calmer, hauling the cube of ice behind you, the Shalati balancing on it. There's a freezing spray all around you where the waves are crashing into the rocks, and it's immediately frigidly cold. You row your way out past the initial rocks and the wreckage of the Night Flower, approaching the crescent-shaped rock that shields view of the tear from the wreckage itself. The tear, you've seen it before. It's about 30 feet down beneath the water. And the rocks spear up jaggedly from the surface itself. Occasionally waves crash against it, sending a spray up into the air. Looking around from the surface, you haven't seen any sign of the sharks or the deep lurker from here. Though the waters are rough, you don't see fins or shapes in the deep. And before too long, though tiring, you've begun to approach the crescent rock from the southern side. Salinger's arms are burning at this point, and Shalati, by now you're having a little bit of trouble keeping your balance, but as long as you're not doing anything else, it's not too bad.
Yeah. As they were rowing, Casey, sitting towards the front of the boat, periodically waving his hand in a way similar but distinct from when he made the ice. But as the spray kind of splashes up towards the boat, you notice it kind of change direction and move away from him and anyone who might be near. All right then. Shall we call them?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. How exactly do we do that, you think?
Well,
Shalati calls out, or she sticks her face down into the water and calls out, "What everyone? We are here," in just regular common, but she also tries in her head to say it as loudly as she can.
Plot as you move towards the edge of the ice, away from the
I think-
center in order to put your... Go ahead.
I think she was actually going to move toward that crescent of rock, so that she would have somewhere more stable to stand on while she is
Okay.
probably going to dive in soon, but yeah.
Okay, so you're leaping away from the ice onto the rocks?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, just roll a DC 10 athletics, I think, to make that... actually, acrobatics to make that jump. It's not the distance, but the precision that it's being tested. So yeah, you're able to leap from the ice onto what seems like a good place to wedge your foot, grabbing onto an outcropping, and sort of you have to lean out from the rocks to keep your balance, but or hold onto them and lean in order to keep your balance. But yeah, you've managed to get a stable foothold. You have a stable position. Trying to get like your head down into the water here would be pretty tough. The surface, the level of the water keeps rising and falling as the waves kind of come through.
Then she'll just yell it into the air, but she's still doing the same thing with her mind.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, your voice carries out across the surface of the waves, out into the misty sky. You hear a heavy crash of waves, but there's no sign that anything's hurt you.
Sal summons that ethereal sword behind his jacket during the course of this as he tucks the oars across his lap while they're waiting. So it's under his coat, not visible. Well, I hope it hurt us. Or sensed us, or whatever it does.
Esmond is going to send Zephyrus about, let's say, 15, 20 feet above the highest peak of the crescent outcropping that we're at, and keep an eye out for anything moving in the water.
Sure. Yeah. Zephyrus zoop, goes zipping up there. Flash of green. Another moment passes. There's no sign of anything.
Well, I mean, we know how to attract the little ones. Your
We don't
muted
want the
beach.
little ones, though.
We're not cutting somebody and dropping blood in this water, trying to summon everything. We can wait another minute or two, or I don't know. How'd you talk to it before, Iz?
Actually, I'm good. Let me give it a go. Casey will kind of move from the boat. I don't know how close the boat is to the rocks, but he'll try and move from the boat to the rocks to scramble up to the highest point there.
Yeah, make an DC 10 acrobatics roll. Salingers, you're rowing. It's taking effort to stop the boat from smashing into the rocks or being pulled too far away. The seas and the water is rising, sometimes 5 feet, 10 feet at a time. As waves swell through. Casey's able to leap from the boat and grabbing onto the rocks. Scurry your way up to the top with getting a good foothold.
He scrambles up to the top and kind of flicks his hair back, which is slightly damp from all the spray. Hasn't been able to keep all of it off of him. And he snaps his finger and a ball of flame erupts in his hand as he whips his hair back, and the spray hits the rocks and flies up behind him. He yells out in Ignan. Deep One, show yourself. Don't keep us waiting. And his voice kind of booms across the water. But the ocean's loud, so who knows how far it goes.
Peach kind of catches part of this and says under breath to Sal, "What? Reveal yourself? Damn."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, so your voice booms out following Shalati's out across the ocean surface, cresting on the waves. Still nothing.
Would you ever know how long she has to swim, or she can swim in this kind of water before it starts being dangerous for him?
Make a survival ability check. Or nature, one of the two.
Do you wish for the maiden to guide your thoughts?
Yeah, and water's
Too late, isn't it?
And water's this cold. After 10 minutes, you definitely start to have some serious effects. You'll start to feel effects right away, but after 10 minutes, you're in real trouble.
Okay. She looks at the others and says, I'll go check the ship and see if it's still lurking there.
Casey. Yeah, Casey turns back and says, "Perhaps it perished from its wounds."
Well, wait. I mean, if it's not here, why don't we just try to get it open?
I mean, there's not a point in opening it if it's not here to go through.
Yeah, we're not just gonna leave a big door wide open to some alien sea.
But don't you think that's what it would be watching and most interested in is its way home? I can't imagine it being very far from the fissure.
Yeah, but you can't just make a big hole hoping it'll come. We can't just leave that.
Okay.
And you guys at this point are shouting over the sound of the wind. On the boat.
Whatever we decide to do, I'm going to lose a fight against this water eventually. I can't row forever. Sal says as he creaks one of his shoulders and alternates arms.
Shalati is going, she's already stripped down to a swimmable state, and so she's just going to try to leap as far as she can from the rocks and get down into the water. She's going to stay mostly on the surface until she reaches the area of the wreck.
Ooh, okay.
How is it?
Wait.
Cold.
As she jumps into the water and Ava understands what it is she's doing, and as Sal has just said what he did, taking a note from what Araya did, Ava begins to weave some magic and focuses on the energy within both of her friends, and she's also going to cast Enhance ability.
Oh, and you get 2d6 temp HP, so as relevant for you.
You get that for intelligence? I think that's con.
It says the... Oh, sorry. Gomenasai. I just saw that and was excited.
It's okay. You guys both get 2d6 temporary HP, though. I'll roll it.
You roll. Okay, cool.
Okay, now when you're done.
Sorry, that
with
was to me and Sal.
There was Sal and Shalati, both now should have, let's see, what is it called?
Bear's endurance?
Yes, Bear's Endurance. So advantage on Constitution checks.
Oh, you did pick that one.
Mhm.
Smart choice.
And 11 temp HP.
That's a good roll.
Casey yells down from the top of the rock at Esmond. I mean, I guess we could open it.
Shalati,
Yes.
as soon as you hit the water after the magic washes over you, you splash, dive beneath the surface. As soon as you do, what had been an empty sea around you is alive with movement. There are the translucent apparitions, echoes of things that had dwelled in these waters so long ago. Enormous crews through the murky water, oblivious to your presence. Perhaps something you're seeing now, perhaps something from long ago. The deep is crowded and alive with things that were once here.
She pauses for a moment, arrested in her stroke at this display. Instinctively sort of pushes away one that swims a little bit too close on her, and our hands presumably just pass right through it. She takes a moment to gather herself. Remembers back to a moment in the chasm. And then doesn't sigh because she's underwater, but continues stroking onwards. Says something that comes out in a stream of bubbles as I'll deal with that later.
You don't even make it so far as around the crescent when from the north you catch a bit of pale pink in the water, and then a bit of teal. And emerging from the murky water of the north, begin to make out a line of long flowing tendril, and then the glint, crimson eye. And emerging from the murk is the shape, just the very edge of your perception of the deep lurker. You hear a clicking in your mind.
She says in her mind, Deep One, we are here to fulfill our end of the bargain.
The movement of the creature is arrested, the slightest sway of its tendrils allowing it to keep its position in the water. It floats just north of you. Nothing hostile, but an eeriness about its presence. It seems to understand that you're there, maybe even understand why. It doesn't move away or closer. It just seems to be waiting, watching you.
I will go back and we will start soon. It will be Esmond probably doing it. So watch him and watch the portal. And when it is completed, fulfill your end of the bargain. And then she pops up toward the surface and waves a hand, points. She probably does that treading water thing where she doesn't actually have to use her arms, and points toward where the creature is, and then gives a thumbs up. We're heading back toward the boat.
It's only with Shalati kind of pointing out the direction to look that the keenest stare, you're barely able to make out this thing almost invisible beneath the water surface.
Okay, well, I guess we know where it is. Great. Okay. Esmond is going to reach into his bag of holding and set the door jam on the boat and set it to begin charging for the heated output to expand the portal on the lowest setting. And while that is charging over the next minute, he's going to strip down, and he is actually wearing kind of in the style of like those old 40s, 50s men's swimsuits where it's like the trunks that lead up into the suspenders. And
He still
he
made their
takes
sailor
his
striped too.
There are no sailor stripes.
Did your mom make a
Well-
pattern
Oh
though?
my God, was there swimming lessons and swim class during like our growing up time? Yes, there was. Yes, we've seen the swimsuit before, huh?
Yes, it probably has been seen, not in a while. But anyways, uh, Esmond reaches down into his belongings and he pulls his tool belt out and ties it around or straps it around his waist and pulls a pair of clear work goggles that people have seen him use in the workshop to help keep the water out of his eyes and allow him to see more clearly down there in the depths. And with that, he's going to wait for the device to finish charging. And once it's done, he's going to psychically instruct Zephyrus to stay with Araya. And he's going to take the device and jump in to the portal and begin swimming towards the lowest point of it.
As he's prepping the device, I think Casey from the rocks will move over to the edge to see the boat and speak out in Ignan towards the boat, low and booming, and it kind of rumbles down the rocks and across the water. And Esmond, Sal, and Doc, you feel Casey's voice kind of rumble through you as he is making a basically mind link with you guys if you accept it.
Accepted.
Except.
The little Skype thing pops up.
Yeah, Esmond is. Oh, actually, you know what? Part of his preparation, Esmond is also going to take a small rock that he also had in the bag of holding, and with one of his conductor keys, shock a little bit of lightning into it, and the small pebble is glowing a bright white light, kind of a 5-foot radius that would allow him to see a bit better once he gets down into the chasm or into the water. This is not a spell. This is a feature I'm trying to magical tinkering.
Okay. Yeah, let me know when you're finished.
I make a soft, warm little nestly nook for Zephyrus in amongst my many robes.
Once all that is prepped, Esmond, without saying anything to anybody, is just gonna jump into the water.
Yeah. As you splash into the water, it's very unlike what Shalot you'd seen. It's murky depths, the gleaming outline of the portal's edge, and just the very edge of your vision. You just because she told you where it is, you barely make out the faintest hints of pale pink and glimmers of teal, the deep lurker. You see there are eyes that have been fixed on Shalati, but a few of them shift over to watch Esmond. You were on the south side of the tear. The deep lurker is on several feet away, 50 feet away at least, on the northern side of the tear. Just watching you, you can feel the cold of the water shocking as soon as you hit. Any dexterity saving throws or dexterity-based ability checks will be disadvantaged, but you've got probably a good 10 minutes before it starts to be life-threatening. It's extremely, extremely cold. You hear the sounds of the water around you, the sound of your friend's footsteps in the bottom of the boat, the churning of the deep.
Shalate is 100% following after Esmond. I don't know if she ever got out of the water.
Yeah, fully anticipated that.
She does pop that bubble over her head, though.
Perfect. Waiting for Shalati to catch up, Esmond will start making his way towards the portal. As we get closer to the tear, am I able to see into it and able to distinguish anything on the other side of the portal?
As you get closer to the tear itself, you can somehow remarkably feel the water coming through the tear is somehow even colder than that around you. There are crystals of ice that form and melt on your side. Beyond is just water, but not the sunlit sort of murk that's on your side, but almost pure, almost completely black, as though looking into the bottom of the sea.
Charlotte is going to put her head near Esmond's, close enough so that his head is partly in the bubble as well, so that he can actually hear her when she says, when I put my hand in there, it was so cold that I think I would have gotten frostbite if I left it in there for more than 10 seconds. So I would recommend we be as far away as possible so that when it opens, all that coldness does not has a little more chance to get diluted by this warm water.
Ismond pulls away from your air bubble. You can't see his eyes, but he just motions with his hand at you. Yeah, I mean, screw it. Why not? As we continue swimming, as we get closer to the bottom, keeping an eye on the portal and the deep lurker, Esmond is also going to just very quickly pull out his wand, and a small light appears on the tip, and he's going to drag the end of his wand across his forehead, and a series of lines, kind of yellow lines, appear over his forehead before disappearing and changing his eye color from bright blue to bright green, casting sea invisibility, which should be good for the next hour. Just as a precautionary measure on my part.
Just to make sure, you can breathe underwater, right? Or is it just you can hold your breath forever?
I can hold my breath forever. Is sea invisibility?
You have enough air in your lungs to cast one spell.
Can we retroactively say sea invisibility before I jump in? Or, I mean,
You can go to the surface. You can be like,
Yeah, not while you're down here. That's something you would have had to prepare for.
okay. I'll just quickly turn to Shalati. Just motion one moment. Resurface, quickly cast the invisibility, and then head back down.
Okay, sounds good.
Casey is howling from the rocks when Ez dove in, and he howls again when you surface and go back down. You can hear this in your mind links, so even as you go down, you're
Does anything pop out after casting sea invisibility? I'm just keeping an eye out for things about that portal because I don't fucking trust it.
And you look around, knowing that if anything's there, just beyond sight, you'll be able to see it, but there's nothing. Just the murky depths.
Can't determine if that's more or less comforting. Yep, just keep moving to the bottom of the tear and find a place to situate the door jamb so that it will hold in place without tipping over.
I have a slight problem. The tear is mostly horizontal, so it's sort of suspended there between the surface and the bottom. There's nothing to attach the device to.
How far away from the bottom, from the ocean floor to the lowest point of the tear is it?
60 feet.
Just a second, I'm checking something.
See the crimson eyes of the creature watching the two of you from the northern side of the tear. Shalati, there's almost this sense of anticipation, not predatory, but the feeling of almost reaching home after a long day of walking, tired feet. and the slight
Well,
apprehension of it, you might never reach it.
Okay, I've got a slightly. You know what? No, we can make this work. I think this works. Esmond is going to communicate to O through the mind link. There's no place to situate the device. I'm going to have to come back up. I'm going to have to come up with an alternative solution to make sure that the device is in range of this portal. But I think I've got something. I'll be resurfacing in just a moment and just head back up. And after, yeah, just again to Shalati, just and reaching the surface, Esmond is going to take his hand and kind of like motion it around the door jam device in front of him, and using a racial trait, he is going to cast Levitate on it, so that I am at a point just close enough, just within range of the portal, so that I can move the device up and down as needed.
Send levitate. Click send levitate to the chat if you would.
Patrick, can you send Levitate to the chat?
Yeah, let me look it up. I'll do it.
What's the issue, S? We need to go fishing.
Do you need more of us down there? Is it attacking you? Are you okay?
You know what? If you're talking to Esmond, I doubt that he can hear you being in the water and with all the waves crashing.
You just see a lot of concerned faces kind of like peeking around the edge of the boat. What is it? How can we help?
Casey's talking in the mind link, but he'll relay to Sal, who's on the boat. Ez is fine. We're just working out some kinks.
Casey says Ez is all right. Just some unexpected logistics.
Okay, I think this will work great.
So yeah, having cast that, the device is going to begin slowly lifting out of the water, and it's just kind of lofting in the air just above Esmond's head, and he's going to dive back down, and the device is going to slowly follow immediately behind him.
Get ready for a show. He says that in the mind link to all those that are in the mind link.
Sal does not repeat that as it makes him nervous.
I think Shalatu, when she sees this, I don't think she actually understands what's going on, but when she sees it floating behind him, says, I have rope. But she just says this to herself.
I don't have rope. I have magic. Esmond will stop at a point near the tear, and set the device on a timer to go off. And you said it can have a maximum time of 1 minute. Can I reduce that time?
Yeah, it can be less.
Okay, let's give it 30 seconds. And set it on a 30-second timer, and motion to Shalati to follow him and back up. And we're just going to wait to see what happens.
All right. The device held by your magic lowers to be the same depth as the tear itself. You can see small fringes of energy along the side of the tear, the edges of the tear, much like you'd seen in the forest, like the edge of a piece of paper burning impossibly here beneath the water. You swim backwards, resuming Shalati moves back with you. You can feel the chill of the water beginning to set in now. You know staying in here too long would be terrible. You see the device, the glow of it there, within the brass and the tubes of the casing you've built around it. You see it begin to charge, begins to approach the time you'd set. Hold your breath. Waiting. And then there's a pulse of energy, crackling of lightning that surges out along the tear, bursting in all directions. You've constructed the device well, and it works. The tear oscillates. It's torn open at one end and then the other, and then expands large enough, certainly, to allow the creature to move through. You. Oh, actually, let me make sure. What level did you set it at?
The lowest level. Lowest level.
It flickers, expands for just a moment, and then collapses back down to its size. And at that setting, it did not work. Please roll a d20.
Patrick, roll me d20, please.
What did I say?
You got a 9?
19.
No, 9. We got a 9, right? Is that it?
We got a 9. Do you want to use anything?
No.
The lowest
Awesome.
level pulse of energy spreads out around you. You can feel it wash over you for just a moment. You see the creature stirs a bit. Its eyes fixed on what's happening, but it doesn't hold.
Esmond is... Oh, you're probably going to hear this, but Esmond is going to think in his mind, trying to communicate with the deep lurker. Working out some kinks. I'll have this open for you, I promise. And go and reset the device, begin charging it for another minute. This time we're going to go for the second setting.
That was awesome, Ez. You should have seen it from up here. The lightning just through the water. Incredible. You're doing the next level?
Unfortunately, hey, how strong is this mind link? Can you hear my blood beating incredibly quickly right now? Because I am about to lose it.
No. Right there. I saw the portal. It worked. The portal opened wider.
Let me know when you can't feel your wrist.
Charlotte, you see a slight change in the deep lurker's posture. Is it anger, uncertainty? It's hard to read, but there's an uneasiness at the edges of your thoughts, but they're not your thoughts. They belong to something else.
Doc says if you can't feel your wrists, to let her know.
Okay, now. I assume it's been a minute, GM. We're setting the charge for another 30-second delay at the second release level.
Mm-hmm. You feel the tension begin to build in the machine. You see the glow there beneath the water. For a moment, double check the calculations in your head, double check the details that you'd gone over so many times as you constructed the device. Will those materials hold? You didn't test it underwater. Begins to approach the time. Oof! There's a pulse. Please roll d20.
We made it.
A 12.
12. Okay.
There's a pulse of lightning that bursts out along the tear, and at this level it rips open just as you expected, just as you calculated it should. Edges of the tear widening vertically and lowered deeper into the depths. This time it holds large enough for the creature to pass through. You see it shuddering. It doesn't shrink. The energy is sustained. It's worked.
Araya's right. We should have gone middle.
Don't say that.
If Esmond could let out a deep breath of exasperation, he would right now. But I am underwater.
You see there's movement from the deep lurker. It drifts a bit closer, examining the tear. Charlotte, you feel an anticipation palpable at the very edges of your thoughts coming out from the deep of your mind. You can feel that this creature wants this, but it lingers on your side for just a moment more.
She swims forward as it hesitates for a moment and comes up to it as close as she dares to the opening of the portal. And just sits there in the middle of the water waiting.
Desmond swims up beside her and immediately sets the device to begin charging for the opposite energy to start closing it.
Deepaker drifts closer to it. You can see its tendrils carried by the waters. And Shalati, all of you hear a clicking in your mind, but Shalati, for you, it has meaning. Follow the day until it drowns in the night, and there find the first of what was lost. And then the creature drifts forward and with a swell of its tendrils from the opposite side, passes through. You see its length vanish into the darkness on the far side.
She is still for a moment trying to process this, and then as it passes through the portal, she begins to stroke after it, calling out incoherently inside the bubble, audible to no one. Wait, that's not what you said.
You see Shalati swim forward, Esmond. You see as she begins to approach the portal, ice begins crawling along the edges of her arms.
Try and pull her back as fast as I can, and the creature has gone through the portal.
Yeah, creature's gone through.
Try and grab her and pull her back, and Esmond is going to throw his other hand and try and. Are we like right next to the portal?
You're quite close.
Yeah, he's going to try and shove his own hand further in front of her and cast Shocking Grasp to try and begin closing it, seeing how immediately quickly she's starting to be iced over.
Yeah, you two aren't quite that close yet. You could be if she continues forward, but you can already see at this distance, you're probably 15 feet away. Ice is already forming on her skin.
Can we see any of this?
You kind of see some movement down there. You saw the flash. You don't see the pink anymore. It's hard to make out what's happening so deep beneath the water.
She is continuing to try and move forward.
Okay. What's the rule for underwater spells? Spells with range are half distance.
Well, the lightning-based ones are. What are you trying to do?
I mean, seeing that she's not stopping and the ice is starting to expand, Esmond is going to pull his wand from his tool belt and cast Witch Bolt, which has a 30-foot range. But if we're within 15 feet, I should be within range to hit the portal at least.
Okay, you pull your wand. You have enough breath for one spell. Witch Bolt, is it actually a lightning spell?
Yes.
Okay. You never tried this underwater before, but as you were reaching out for Shalati, grabbing on, you're trying to cast a spell with your other hand. Let me have the two of you roll an opposed athletics check, but you'll actually have disadvantage because you're trying to do this with one hand, Esmond.
Really, athletics, great. Patrick, roll me a d20.
I didn't roll
not
very
that
well,
fucking
so
matters.
All right, neither did he. You got a 15 on one, but a 6 on the other.
Yeah, you feel.
Oh, I rolled a 5.
You feel the strength of Shalati just kind of rip your grip on her clothing free, and you're forced to let go. She begins to swim forward. Lightning arcs from your hand forward toward the edge of the portal. You see it interacting with it as it had in the forest. Something about the magic destabilizing that edge of the portal, and it begins to collapse forward but the water itself is interfering with your spell. I need you to make, for you, an intelligence ability check to maintain control of the spell.
17 on the die.
I have advantage because of enhance ability.
Ooh.
All right.
Thank the maiden.
Still 17 on the die is the highest.
Okay.
That will be a 21 intelligence check.
Okay, yeah, you see the witch bolt starting to arc toward Shalati, but you're able to keep control of it to keep it from intersecting with her. Shalati, as you swim forward, you can see that edge of the portal beginning to collapse inward, destabilized. It would take a while to shrink the entire portal, but there in front of you, there's a flash of light that catches your attention. You see it collapsing inward, and you become, for just a moment, more aware of almost can't feel your fingers, you can't bend them anymore.
She comes up almost at the edge of the portal and then hesitates, straining to see if there's any trace of pink left, turning over the words in her head. Tears of frustration running down her face, but also while she stares down at her hands now frozen to claws, and takes a deep breath and then begins to head back. Turns around in a flip angrily and strokes back up toward the surface, just passing by Esmond without a word.
Just before, in that moment, right before you turn back, what is it that's in your mind? What is it that you're wanting?
In her mind is mostly a mess of emotions, largely frustration, grief, a betrayal of expectations, but the realization that whatever deal she thought they had made, it wasn't necessarily exactly that one, and it was some kind of answer, maybe? But she's not sure yet what it is.
Okay. You turn back at that last moment as ice is crawling up your elbow along your forearm and your bicep towards your shoulder. But you turn back at the last moment as the edge of that portal's collapsing. Esmond's lightning heating the water around it, bubbles kind of boiling upward, and you manage to break away, swimming backward towards the surface. Esmond, the timer on the device is counting down.
As you hear in your mind, that was huge. It went through, yeah. I think I saw it went through. You told it not to come back, right? Leave these waters, never return.
I'll answer you just a second. Someone check on Shalati, and you just hear a bunch of panicked gibberish in your mind. There's a lot of thoughts happening at this exact moment. And
added to
Esmond,
that is Shalati. What's wrong with Shalati? She's fine, right?
and Esmond will will break away to try and get out of range of the device before it sets off again. To reiterate, the output set to close the tear.
Shalati probably, breaches the surface first, certainly. There's a spray of water. She rises above the waves.
I think she reaches the surface, bobs there for a moment, still taking breath and not yet taking off the air bubble, the clear, translucent bubble around her head, and then realizes that Esmond is not there, goes, and then turns back around. Just check and make sure whatever's going on.
You reach the surface, dunk back under. You can see Esmond, you're still down there, floating as you're watching the device, right? You see, Esmond's not swimming to the surface, but he's not going else anywhere either. You see him being pushed by the current, but kicking his arms and legs to kind of stay where he is. You can see the glow beginning in the device.
She's gonna swim back down to rejoin.
Yeah, your lungs full of a fresher, colder air now. Down beneath the surface. Esmond, the timer's counting down. You can see the energy building. Are you after Shalati returned to the surface? Are you still trying to hold the witch bolt?
I would have. I would have held it for as long as I could be within range. So the moment that I was 15 feet away, it would have broken. I would have just continued swinging as fast as I could to get out of the range of the door jam.
Okay, yeah, I would say, like, being close enough to even cast the spell, you're starting to feel the freeze of the water, making it difficult to even move your fingers. You can feel the chill setting into your bones. And so it wouldn't be long before you would really need to break away, because you'd only move that close to be able to help Shalati.
Yeah, and so I would have moved back to like a 25, 30 foot range from the portal, waiting for the device to set off.
Yeah, sounds good. As you've moved away, and by this time Shalati's joined you, you can see that energy building in the device for a second blast. But for the first time, sort of in the blackness through the tear, you see a bit of light. It's as though seeing a flash of lightning in a cloud from a great distance. There's lightning that crawls and arcs through what seems to be a distant storm. Another flash of lightning. And then in that great distance, what you're able to tell is an incredible depth, an incredible distance, enormous in size. Lightning crawls and for a moment illuminates the silhouette of what seems to be a mass of serpents, a single serpent, gargantuan in scale, impossible. You see a hint of amethyst color, 2 stars in the sky. It almost seems to be approaching. If you had to, what you're seeing is impossible. It would be the size, the creature would span the scale of mountains, of the horizon. The device ticks down. Shalati?
Out of curiosity, when she had gotten close to the portal, the mess of spectral creatures that she sees under the water here, what does she see in that vein on the other side?
Nothing on the other side, just you. Something growing closer. You see an endless length, shape, serpentine coiling and moving as something approaches just for a moment. You begin to make out the vaguest hint of the head of a serpent, but it must be the size of your entire town. And then there's a pulse of energy from the device. Lightning crackles along the edges and shrinks the portal down. It reforms the line that it used to and then collapses in on itself to a single point. An inversion. It closes. Please roll a d20.
16
Roll
on the
me
die.
d20, please. Okay, d20 roll.
The sunstone holds and doesn't shatter.
Yeah.
I think Shalati had instinctively put herself between Esmond and the portal as if she could have actually done anything. But there is a deep sigh as it closes. And she says to herself, mostly miserable, I think if I was not in the water, I would be sweating.
Those from the boat hear Casey howl from the rocks. It worked! It worked!
Did that serpent look like any of the visions that she had had from the deep ocean?
There was a flash in the visions that you got of a serpent. And you realize this was probably the same.
Ava claps with joy.
Without saying anything, Esmond's just going to his some of his fingers kind of iced over. Actually, I guess. Oh no, I don't want to lose more fingers.
No.
Try gently touch Shalati's shoulder and kind of to get her attention, motion up to begin resurfacing, and he's going to slowly make his way back up towards the coastline, or towards the rock outcropping with the device in tow.
Shall I take the ones?
Yeah, Casey will move quickly towards them and snap a ball of fire in his hand to help warm them up once they get to the rocks.
Yeah, presumably within just a moment or two, the two have breached the surface. You've hauled them back into the boat. All of you are freezing cold, but Shalati and Esmond in particular are dangerously, potentially life-threateningly cold. This cold wind whips across all of you there in the boat. When you're exposed to the frigid air, all of you pretty damp, but the two of them completely soaked through to the bone.
Snuggle for
Sal, get us back to shore.
Sit closer to me. I have extra ropes.
I mean, Esmond's huddled onto the floor of the dinghy, just holding himself in a fetal position, eyes shut, just shivering relentlessly.
I think Shalati is so cold that she's not even chattering anymore. She's just, her body is shaking from the cold, but her teeth are not chattering against each other. And her hands are kind of like curled into fists that she can't quite uncurl yet.
Sal, between breaths and rowing, just says, "Great job. We're never coming back here again."
Peach has been kind of distractedly digging through her bag for the past few seconds, close to a minute, and then finally, out of the depth, she's shoulder deep in this thing. She pulls out a small, slightly egg-shaped object. She goes, "Here, Esmond," and she hands you a repurposed thermal cube that is egg-shaped. My mom used to put it in my bed when it was real cold. Warm you up.
I mean, his whole body's just shivering. He takes it without saying anything and tries to find Shalati's one of Shalati's hands and kind of holds it up to her so that they're both holding on to it.
Yeah, Casey has 2 balls of fire in his hands as well, and he's holding it close to you guys.
Disturbing the ice system.
Do you need more fire? I can make more fire if you think you need more fire.
Use the mind link to tell him if you can't not talk without chattering.
Also, the heat around that little egg is heating quickly to over 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
I'm 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, good
Casey
is
for
more
you.
hot.
It's freezing.
Casey, you should use your body heat to warm
Casey,
Shalati.
you need to get closer to them.
This is the point where
Casey, shed your skin. Shed your skin. Give us a blanket.
Doctor's orders.
We have to go into an abandoned cabin and then find an empty bed.
We have a bonfire back on the cliff.
There's no time, only a cabin.
Well, between the warmth of the egg that you've made and Araya's spell and Casey's mere presence, you keep them alive at least long enough for you guys to row your way back to the cliffs, tie off the boat, and make it to the wind shelter of some of the rocks where you've got the fire built.
Yeah, she's definitely doing the rub the hand on hands in your ears, all the susceptible to frostbite parts, ears. Shalati, you're so cold.
She's beginning to chatter, which is probably a good sign. And she's Nonsense.
Yeah, when Casey gets there, he waves a hand, and the fire that the verdict is tending to grows in size. Yeah, basically anywhere there's not people, Casey's gonna make fire.
And Fedrin's looking out across the water for a moment later, where he says, "Did it work? What news of the creature?"
Yes,
Esmond just holds up a shaking thumb.
I think Charlotte is practically standing in the fire at this point. Her clothing steaming.
You don't want to be burned and frozen at the same time. Let us treat one thing at a time.
Fedrin seems to visibly relax and lowers his rifle and moves away from the cliff's edge into the shelter of the rocks.
I'll make tea.
she won't be burned. And Casey, you can see Casey moving his hand ever so slightly by his side towards the flames.
Ava is trying to coach both of them to warm themselves back up at the appropriate time, so that it's not just assisting with what Casey probably knows intuitively, but she's still gonna throw in a little bit of assistance if she can.
As Esmond gets warmer, he more visibly looks exhausted. So if anyone speaks with him, he just motions with his hands or nods or shakes his head, but is not speaking. He just until until he's either warmer or has some sleep, because he's done right now.
Casey will move or sit next to you and speak in Ignan. Kind of in a calm tone for Ignan. But he says, "Worked exactly as you planned, brother. Any other way, and it wouldn't have. Well done."
He's just staring into this fire and just holds up a shaking thumb.
Casey grins at this and lets out one more howl into the air, and the steam from his breath kind of plumes up like a volcano.
I think while Ava is hovering over, making sure that Charlotte is okay, at some point, Charlotte is warm enough that she says, she's still shivering, but it's not quite as violent, and she's able to form words. She says, "What do you think? What does follow the day until it meets its end? Tonight? And there you will find the first."
I'm gonna make sure that Patrick actually heard what came through. Follow the day until it meets the night. Is that right?
Yeah.
She says, like, at the night or until it meets its end, and there he will find the first. Does that mean anything to you?
She just keeps
Not
checking
good
you
with
over.
riddles.
Can't think of anything like that. I mean, it might be in one of like Sal's stories or something. I don't know, but I can't think of anything that it makes sense.
Esmond, for the first time in a little bit now, is going to turn away from the fire and look at you with a cocked eyebrow, Shalati. Where did you hear that?
she had meant that just for Ava, but I think she's also cold enough that she isn't aware of how loud she is. So she glances over at Esmond, a little surprised, and then blinks and then sighs and says, "The Deep One told me that when I talked with him, I asked it to give me back the memories it had taken, and it said that it would if we give it back home, if we sent it back home. But it didn't give me anything, it just told me that."
Can you repeat it one more time?
I don't know if I remember it, but it was really cold. I cannot emphasize enough how cold it was. It was really cold, but it was something like follow the day until it meets the night, or until it meets its end, or something like that. And then there you will find the first. I want to add of what you seek, but I don't know if that's just from stories.
I mean, I'm not great at it either. Maybe someone else would be good at it, but I mean, if you follow the day until it meets its ends, it's a direction. If you would follow the direction in which the sun sets, perhaps. I don't really know. Here, keep holding this and don't rub too much. You need circulation, but you're not going to be able to feel too much. Are you starting to get the feeling back in like your hands and feet yet?
Yes, it hurts. And she's kind of hissing a little bit with each breath because of the pins and needles coming back. They're not really pins and needles so much as just sheer spiked brushes impressing into her hands and feet. But
Okay, that's good. The pain's good. That's a good sign.
Esmond, sitting near Shalati, is just going to kind of lean in a bit closer to her, trying to speak a little silently, but not really sure how well that's going to keep while he's shivering. Just say, is that why you try to go after it?
yes, that was mad.
Right, I'm sorry that I didn't give you an opportunity about that.
I don't know if I would have been able to. My hands stopped working as soon as I got close. I don't know what I would have done anyway.
I'm glad you were down there with me.
It didn't look like you needed me. But that's really well done. Nothing is make.
Kind of bump his shoulder into her before he turns back to the staring at the fire.
Shalati turns her gaze west and then remembers that the world has turned and starts to look toward where the sun is going down.
The sun now just stays in the north, creating a tight circle that rises and sinks just there. The days have gotten so long and the nights so short. Just 6 hours of night now.
Sorry.
I think Casey would move over and sit in front of Charlotte and just kind of nod and say, "How are your hands?" And he'll move to put his hands on either side of her hands as she's holding the thing.
First, like fire.
So not so bad then, huh? And he kind of, as he puts his hands over yours, you can feel the warmth from his hands kind of there, and he just holds them there.
And so probably still like ice, just like sucking away the heat. But she, for once, is not moving away from him or drinking away or anything else. She's just sits there with her head down, holding the stone between her hands between Casey's.
Yeah, Casey sits there as well, and he's kind of looking down a bit, and the fire is flickering in his eyes from all the bonfires lit around the group.
Adrian asks, do we have anything more to worry about from this creature? Does it have a way to hurt us from where it is?
Very doubtful, not impossible. The tear is gone. It's closed, so at the very least, it can't affect us from that point, if nothing else.
Completely closed. Gone entirely.
Yeah, that was the idea when making the device to close these tears if possible.
Well done. Well done.
We should still
I-
keep like a lookout though, just because it's not like it is opened it all in the first place. If this thing's can rip a hole accidentally or not, we need to make sure that, I don't know, set up another rotation of guards or something. We just need to make sure we know if one appears again.
I don't know if we can keep enough people here to do it round the clock, but yes, maybe at least
That's
once in
true.
a while, someone come by and see. But generally, I don't think. I think the deep one was right in that it knew Esmond could do it, and Esmond did. I don't think there's much else to be worried on that, which is good because it seemed like there were lots of things to worry about on that side.
Nice job, Ez.
Is Esmond's getting a lot of praise, so he's actually gonna. He's sitting with his knees to his chest, so he's probably gonna shift and kind of bury his face a little bit into his knees, kind of to try and get away from people.
He's now turning purple from embarrassment, not from cold.
So you only take the responsibility when it goes wrong, I see.
This is great. This circulation's really helping. Keep embarrassing him.
Oh, that's actually true. Espen, you did a really good job. You were given intelligence for a very good reason, and you've helped us all. And a large fish creature of dubious origin.
He was very brave about it too.
Sal, more praise.
Yes, he was. Plenty brave, like a real hero from a storybook.
And effortlessly good looking while you did it, as always.
Oh, we always do that. Nobody in Shep's Hand's a bad-looking person.
I always said he was the smartest person.
I will walk back into the water if you don't stop.
Just imagine the sea shanties. They will sing.
Casey, you should do a play just all about Esmond.
Now let's make it a musical. We can make it a whole epic. Songs, dance, special effects even. And she'll make a little burst of sparks.
I think if
The
you try,
Wanderlust new review.
I think if you try to walk back into the sea, I can hold you a bit easier than you me.
Chris, this is sort of an out of character. Well, it's an in character thought, but I have to ask you out of character. If from where we were now, this is probably a really stupid thought, but I'm gonna throw it out there. If we spent the night and then woke up the next morning at dawn and followed the path of the sun, just basically kept walking in the direction of the sun, and as the sun shifted around in the sky and we continued walking in that direction until it set, would that walk us across land? Would that give us like an arc that we're walking towards?
Yeah, you'd immediately be going into the water. And you would stay in the water the whole way.
Nearly certain it was a metaphor.
Yeah.
Perhaps all she needs is a good night's rest.
That wasn't in character. That was my thoughts. How did you read my thoughts?
You said it out. Oh, okay.
Casey heard them and shared them.
Whoa, don't blame Casey.
Get out of my mind. Okay.
Your
No,
inner
thanks.
monologue is just Casey.
I think we're good for the day. We should get the boat back out if we can. You guys just continue to get warm. We'll grab the boat, and then we should head back a little bit a ways from the shoreline and like set camp and get back. So I don't want to keep staying near the shore. Wind's cold.
We should just sit closer to Casey. It really does help.
You know, I don't think I'm really going to get closer to Casey and Shalati. Looks like they're plenty cozy over there. Where did that little egg thing go, though?
Charlotte
you still
immediately
have it-
snatches her hands back from Casey's hands.
It's medicinal, Shalati. You need to put your hands back in there.
They're fine. Look, and she's like kind of flexing them. They're still a little bit stiff. And
They
then
are-
She stands up and begins to stamp her feet and like.
No, they
you know,
are
slap
blue.
her.
They are blue right now. You're usually tan.
I needed some running, some activity. Get the
No,
blood
because
going.
that's just cold wind. When you do this, it'll just get the hands in cold wind more. It'll only heat up the core of you, not your hands.
She is simply gonna walk off and get all the clothing. And actually, she had probably put them all already. The clothing items that she has stripped off with the heavy cloak and everything that she was not going to take in the water with her. And is like very busy packing up her stuff.
Oh,
Pointedly busy.
we're not camping out. We're just going back.
We're less than a half day's walk from. Why would we stay out here in the goddamn snow?
Yeah, let's get them some like not
I
wet
brought
clothes.
marshmallows.
We can make them
Okay,
back
we
at
can
home.
eat them in the Wanderlust when we also make a pot of hot chocolate.
You know it's not the same when it's not a campfire.
Yep. No reason to hang out here any longer.
Yeah, I'll get the boat.
Spoil sports.
Can Sal walk with the boat above his head to shield people from the snow? Is that possible?
Is Sal that strong?
You would probably need help. That is pretty heavy, I'm thinking.
Hey, Sal, do you
Yeah.
want to?
Acting like she's
ridiculous.
helping, but she's really just walking a step behind Sal and
No,
not
I-
holding anything.
Casey would help Sal, but he would say we're not carrying it all the way back to town, right? We're just up on shore.
We have 2 frozen popsicles we can't let get colder.
I can keep them warm on the trip. We don't need to lug this all the way back.
Yeah, and underneath this roof, you become an insulator. We're basically making a hearth and a house as long as you stand right there in the middle. If Araya brought any extra ropes, we could wrap it up and have a mobile tent.
Oh, but I... Do you need more ropes? Sal, I thought you said it was too much.
Too much luck.
I'm mostly just trying to find ways to be helpful in a moment where I feel utterly useless.
Just because
Right,
we didn't
useless
have to
back.
fight something didn't mean that you were useless.
Yeah, you kept the boat from crashing against the rocks like the whole time, all by yourself. No one
And you did
could
more
have done
than-
that.
More than I did. I just kind of sniggered and cracked jokes.
Mobile oven it is then.
Mobile oven.
I'll spare. I could spare some rope, just at least as like a windbreaker.
Yeah. Anything else before you guys pack up your your camp here and begin to move back?
No. As they're packing up, Ava will legitimately, as after they've tried to warm up at least a little bit, occasionally like go by Esmond and just sort of like geek out just the smallest bit and over just the fact that it worked. Just kind of get really excited about it. Be like, hey, it worked! Like, little encouraging things like that as they pack up. She's just excited.
Yeah. Well, the journey back to Shepherd's End from here is a full day. So you do end up camping there tonight using the boat itself, sort of perhaps as a lean-to to catch the warmth of the fire that you have built. It's frigidly, uncomfortably cold. Not a fun journey. And most of the time spent walking is buried under whatever scarf you can keep over your mouth to keep the air as warm as you can. It's late in the night. Most are asleep. But there is a moment where fire crackling. Salinger and Peach, the two of you, find yourselves awake when the others are sleeping.
I'm sorry. Are we on the road or have we gotten back?
You're still on the way back. You're sort of camping beneath in the shelter of two hills that kind of helps protect you from the wind. You're using the boat sort of as a lean-to. You have a campfire going, so it's cold, but not dangerously cold. Yeah. And this is just an opportunity for like a rub with.
I think Peach has recovered her little warm glowing rock thing by this point, and she's holding it cupped in her hands. It's about the size of like a chicken's egg. And she kind of sets it in front of her feet near where Salinger is also sitting. And she says, it's no a friendly, helpful neighborhood ignorant or, whatever it is Casey's got that makes me so hot, but keep us warm while we're out on the edge. How you feeling, Sal?
I'm good. Others are way worse off than me. Warm enough, got a roof. Everybody's back in one piece, and hopefully that door stays shut. He knocks on the side of the boat when he says that, actually, like knocking on a door.
Hey, be careful. Don't knock any of that snow down off.
No, it's not that. Says, and he knocks on the door again. Just tapping the top of it.
What is it, Anne? You seem distracted. You can tell me. I have a reputation of being such a gossip, but I never spill your secrets.
I didn't want to come back here. Last time we came back for that fight, Shalati felt off, and she felt off again today, and he knocks on the boat again, like knocking on the door.
We don't ever have to come back. This is done now.
Yeah.
And yeah, Shalati seemed off, but also, sometimes we gotta give folks their space, and it seemed like, I'm not trying to be real blue or nothing, but maybe we should let Casey be the one who comforts her through this and not go poking our nose in everybody's grief all the time. Just if she's worried, maybe she will bring it up with us later. And if now, it seems like she's got a really good protector in Casey, at least. I know what that's like, having someone looking out for you like that.
Yeah, we all got somebody to lean on. It's like something got took. That's how it felt. You remember the scary stories we used to sometimes sit around and tell around the fire near the old ruins? Just to try and spook each other?
Yeah, it was always one-upmanship. Whoever's gonna come up with the scariest idea and get it so that someone can't sleep, or that, we scare the crap out of Ava when she comes back from taking a pee. Of course I remember that.
He leans into the fire so it silhouettes his face just a little bit. Here's one that I've known since I was little that always scared me too much to tell. And he knocks on the boat again.
Oh, now's the time, Salinger. Can't get spookier than, you know, the sun stopped moving in the sky and north no longer being north and demons from other worlds coming through holes in the sky and the sea. If there's time for a scary story, go for it. I don't think it's going to be any scarier than none we've been through the past 4 weeks.
Sometimes scary things are big, and sometimes the scariest things are small. Like one person knocks on the side of the boat.
Enough with this. Tell me the story or don't, Sal.
Don't work if you don't build suspense first, and we're already awake. This will keep us awake.
All right, I'm suspended. Now, go on.
Perfect. Had to wait for a little tremble. There it was. My dad's used to tell a story to him to keep them in line when they wandered around too far, make sure they stayed at home at night. Whenever you hear a knock on the door, tap, tap, you never open it after it's closed. Not 'cause there's some big scary monster on the other side. Not 'cause something's gonna steal you away or hurt you or kill you. It's worse than that. Because if you open that door, what you lose is what the masked man takes. Knocks again.
Well, how do you know who it is? It could be anybody. Heck, we turn away every person who comes to the Wanderlust after dark. We'll lose half our clients.
Well, that's the scariest part. It's what it takes.
What does it take?
Nobody ever knows. Masked man said to take your memories away. You look at him, you open that door, it knocks, and scoops away the very recollection of that tale, very recollection of that moment, and anything he wants from you. Something Shalati asked me after the last time we were here reminded me of that story, and I haven't been able to shake it since. I don't want that door to open back up. I don't ever want to go back to that place.
Is this something that you... This is just a fairy story, Sal. It's something you said your dad's dad made up.
Made up. There are different types of stories. There's history. That's one kind. There's legends. There's lore. And there's lies. And all of them have something in common. They all have a thread that tie them together. When you hear that thread going between a lore, a lie, a legend, and a history, that's how you know it's real.
Well, you're a good storyteller, Salinger Moore. You got me nicely spooked. But if every time you see this masked man coming knocking at your door, then you automatically forget him, then who's telling the story, huh?
He just knocks again. I don't know. Maybe I just forgot. He nudges you with an elbow and gives a big smile.
Salinger!
It's a good story, though, right?
It doesn't even make logical sense. How do you know what he looks like if you forget what he looks like as soon as you see him, if he takes your memories of it? It's damn scary, but, you know, you gotta build your world.
Yeah, maybe the mask's a metaphor, I don't know.
But did that happen to Slotty? That thing in there, it took something out of her mind? When she was mentioning it before, I thought it was more metaphorical, like it made her remember things she didn't want to remember or dredged up feelings she didn't want. It really took away those memories.
I don't know. That's a question for Doc. You know me. Things remind me of other stories, is all. That just reminded me of that.
Hmm.
Just not knock on the door. That's that's it. I ain't sleeping. So
Peach will kind of snuggle up like into like the divot of snow where that Salinger is in, just for warmth. And then she'll say, "Well, we're both up now and properly. How about you tell a better story, something that's not gonna keep me up all night? Tell me a proper one, a good one with a real hero and a villain that ain't just spooky."
all right, he'll lean in and say, "All right, tell you a recent one. Story of Esmond the Cunning, closer of ways, jammer of doors, diver in the deep, savior of Shepherd's Inn, for the third time."
I like that. I like a hero with humble beginnings. Somebody goes over through some nice growth. Romantic subplot, though. Gotta have it.
Oh, of course, there's forbidden love, all that. And he'll kind of just trail off into making up an impromptu, exaggerated version of today's events, but clearly based on some other fairy tale that he heard before, just superimposing our group.
Peach will happily, like, ad lib and yes hand along to this story with him.
First, well, everyone gets an inspiration.
The forbidden love is between Esmond, the hero, and the deep lover, and you have to send him away.
Let me ask you this. Does Salinger actually stay awake all night, or do you manage to get some sleep?
Yeah, I think he really would. Like, this was really unsettling to him. That reminder of that story was really unsettling to him. He's legit not going to sleep. I'll take a level of exhaustion or whatever.
Sure. Sounds good.
Peach falls asleep halfway through the second story you're telling. She's sort of like gently snoring against your knee.
Yeah, makes sense. Charlotte, you're woken up by the sound of knock on the door. You wake up and you can see that the small campfire that's someone must have kept it going through the night out there in front of just outside of the shelter of the boat. You can see that somebody must have woken up before you. They're sitting there with their back to you, wrapped in their cloak, and you realize as you look, it doesn't look like any of your friends.
Look cautiously, but so look, big humanoid, small humanoid,
Pretty,
medium
pretty,
sized.
pretty broad-shouldered, a medium creature, but well built. Yeah, you can see the slight cadence of their breathing as they sit at the fire. They don't seem to be doing anything other than maybe warming their hands. Can't quite tell.
She checks to make sure her dagger is at her side, and then just walks out of the lean-to shelter created in the boat and says, "What are you?"
There's no response. Certainly they heard you. But they're just sitting there, with their back to you, presumably looking at the fire. For a moment, do you think somehow they've gotten hold of one of the cloaks that people from Shepherd's End often wear? It's the same material as yours, in fact. Same cut.
Her brows wrinkle and she says, "Are you from the town? Why did you come after this? Is something wrong?" And she's going to walk around to try and, or no, she's just going to walk forward and put a hand on the shoulder of the person to try and like see who they are.
You move a bit closer. They don't answer you, but as you put a hand on their shoulder and draw a bit, they turn just enough where you can see under the hood of the cloak, and it's you.
She startles, her grip tensing on the shoulder. And then she looks around to see if anybody else is here.
Salinger, you've seen Shalati rise up from where she was lying, and she calls out like she was talking to someone. She moves to the edge of the fire, and then she reaches out, and then she spins around and TV make eye contact for a moment.
She still has a hold on herself, and she thinks back to what she's seen other people do sometimes, and she says, "Is this a trick? Casey, is this you?"
No, it's me. You ought to be resting. You had a lot harder day than I did.
You're seeing this, right? And then she's something a little worried. She steps back, breaking contact with herself, and gestures full body.
Yeah. Shalati, as you look, turn to Salinger, and then take your hand away and turn back into gesture, I'd like you to make an ability check. I'll let you choose which one to make here.
What am I trying to do?
You can choose between wisdom, intelligence, or charisma. Your choice. But you don't know what you don't actually know what you're doing.
Oh, so business as normal then. I think she's an instinctive kind of person, so wisdom makes no sense. Oh,
Ho, 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 ho. Okay. Yeah. Salinger, for just a moment, as Shalati gestures wildly, you see that there's someone sitting at the fire. And then they're not there. Yeah, Salinger, you see that. And then Shalati, as you gesture back, the person that was there is gone.
instead of jumping, this time she just goes very still. And closes her eyes, inhales, like tries to feel with that sort of electric sense that she can sometimes get when she concentrates. Essentially, the blind finding thing, but trying to see if there's anybody nearby beyond who she would expect.
There's a brief fading presence as though someone was there, but now they are gone.
She opens her eyes again and then takes a breath and just sits down by the campfire. You didn't see any of it, did you? She says to Salinger.
Briefest glimpse, trick of the light, maybe. He says as he takes off one of his layers and kind of settles Peach over so she can comfortably rest on the side and doesn't fall off his knee as he adjusts. Yeah, if you're half frozen, I haven't slept. It's probably nothing. How's your hand?
She doesn't really respond to this as she's staring at the fire and then at the place where she had been standing, or her other self. And she tries to think back to. She's always known. She's always been able to instantly, like people said that she and her twin looked alike, but as with most women, she can immediately tell the difference. She doesn't think they look anything alike, really. Did she get any of that sense? Even though she never actually saw a grown Ishtuan.
Search your memories, your imagination, and everyone had always had trouble telling you apart, but never the two of you. The small, minute details are so different. You'd never gotten the opportunity to see Tala as an adult, but now that you've had a moment to process, You realize the person you saw, no, it wasn't you. It was her.
She takes in another breath, and this one starts to shudder. And then she puts her head down on her knees.
Sal would start to put a hand on her shoulder, stop for a second, and then just put a hand back on his knee. Yeah, I saw somebody. I saw somebody too.
She's trying to. I said that I needed her, and she's trying to come back. I know it. And she doesn't say anything beyond that, unless Sandra says something else, maybe, but she just sits there for the rest of the night.
I think he wouldn't probe or prod or try to pull more from that of her trying to come back. More just he would just tell another childhood memory of the three of them on the docks. This time, one of the ones where Shalati won the game. And Tala followed.
At some point during the retelling, Shante looks up, lifts her head, and says, she seems torn between a little gladness, nostalgia, sadness, and a tiny bit of horror. Or at least it's a complex mix of emotions on her face. As she says, I don't remember that one.
I'll just
I
have to
think I
keep
know the one.
retelling it, won't I? He says with a little half smirk.
She just nods. And if you have any more, please.
Well, fair trade. I'll keep telling you stories. You gotta tell me a thing or two. What'd you see down there? Anything?
Ancients things that had once been there, I think. And she hasn't really had time to process this bit, as there's been a lot of other stuff imposing for attention, but Hermione casts back and brow wrinkles. I don't know what it was, but I think something about that deep one changed me, or the contact with his mind, or I don't know what. But before I talked with it, before we encountered it, before it touched my mind, I never saw any of these things. And now, the last fight that we had, those serpents that came up, I think I saw them in its mind, or things like it. And I thought I saw other things too there, but I don't know why they came back, or I mean, I saw them around me elsewhere too, in motions of the corner of my eyes, in my porridge. That one was weird.
Well, you gotta watch out for porridge snakes.
Anyway, I saw things underneath the water, kind of like them, but like the ones that came up when I was focused on the last battle. Except that there were so many of them, and I just everywhere it's teeming with them. It was, if it wasn't for the fact that I know Esmond, it might have been hard to keep track of him. I don't know what's
Guess
going
Nez
on.
didn't see that.
He I mean, there was a while when he was sort of right in the middle of the mouth of a big one, so he didn't make any motion of noticing it, so I don't think he did.
You know, right before we left, I think you ought to talk to Doc a little about that. Not right away, just...
She called me into her office to do some kind of physical test, I think, because of the holes that the one put in me and what it did to my mind. But I mean, she didn't ask about anything specific. She just asked how I was doing, and honestly, whatever is happening there just does not seem as important as everything that was going on with the town. Like, having seen my sister again, so I kind of forgot to bring it up.
Forgot to bring it up. Or
I mean,
avoided it.
it just isn't that important in comparison. And I mean this. Actually, I'm not trying to avoid it or anything. It's just when she asked if everything was okay, I couldn't say anything was okay because nothing is.
That's fair. Isn't it a good thing you keep seeing her?
Yes, of course. I'm just worried about her. And I wish she could be cared for, and it's painful too. Like that. Like frostbite. Like I didn't feel anything for a while, and she was just gone, and that was it. And I couldn't do anything, and then she is back, at least a little bit, some way. I know she's out there, and it's that part is hurts again.
I don't think everything else is more important than that. Where would you start looking? If we could go anywhere next.
But oh, I thought we were wait.
Thought you were talking about
I
your
don't-
sister.
Yes, I thought that was the thing that was more important than whatever was going on with my dream.
I thought you
But
meant that everything going on with the town was more important than whatever was going on with you. Because you tend to do that, you know, push your problems aside, let everybody else's get taken care of.
well, not
A little bit. Taking care of the people, that's kind of your thing.
taking care of other people. Yes, but that's just because there's not much else for me to do. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what I
fair
have to
enough.
do. And I forgot what what work. It's the thing I don't know. I mean, it would be on the other side, whatever that is, but it's not through any of the portals, I think, although they are somehow related. I looked through the other portal in the forest. I just saw some big creatures. They look like green eaters. Not dangerous, at least. Big, but it was not predatory. But it didn't sound anything like what Ava describes.
Hmm. Well, we'll figure it out.
So,
And in the meantime, just keep reminding you of her.
what about you?
What about me? I didn't dive into icy cold water and save the day. I just rowed a boat.
I didn't do anything about that. I was just there in case something did happen, but everyone pretty much still got it into the hell as been planned.
You were the hand next to Esmond's shoulder. He always needs that. Somebody beside him so that he knows that he can do it, even though he should. Every time on his own.
I really don't understand someone who's so smart and is right so often is also so unconfident?
It's a conundrum. He's a mystery wrapped in an enigma, surrounded by shadows. Never understand him completely.
What if it's because he's friends with Casey, and like there has to be some kind of balance? Because if two people were that confident and also best friends, it would like create some sort of
Yeah, maybe that's what caused the tears. The rips in time itself were caused by two so different beings occupying the same town. You might be onto something there. But now they're a good balance. Casey's unfathomably confident, as is near limitlessly nervous. And the rest of us just kind of walk somewhere in between.
You cannot ever tell him this, but once in a while, I sometimes think that Esme reminds me of those small dogs that are used to catch rats, but they're always really have so much anxiety in them.
Yeah, I never tell him that.
She looks down at Peach, them sleeping so soothing on Salinger's knee, and says, "You know she has a crush on you, right?"
I know nothing of the sort.
All right then, keep your secrets.
That very moment, Casey seems to wake up with a yell so loud that it wakes everyone up.
Ah! Ah! Everyone up! Everyone up! Casey starts staring at the dirt beneath him and like reaches down, grabs at the dirt real quick. Up! And he runs up to Salinger and he's like, "Do you see this? You see what this is?" And he holds up a small little almond-shaped brown bug with 6 legs. And he says, "This is the tot. They're in the bed. They're in the beds. If we bring these back to the thing, there'll be no getting rid of them. We're gonna have to burn them.
Bring it down to like a 7, maybe a 5.
No, you don't understand. If these get in the house, there's no getting rid of them.
We're in a boat in the woods. We're not in the house. It's gonna be fine.
Please, I'm trying to get away from my real world trauma here.
No, we're gonna have to strip naked, burn our clothes. It's the only way.
I ain't burning my clothes. Now you're crazy. Sit down. And he swats the bug out of your hand.
No, he runs over and grabs it and holds it back up, and it kind of burns into ash.
Wait. Roll a perception check.
Oh no. Well, no, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, you find it.
Yeah. Scoops it up. It kind of bursts into ash as a little flame erupts from his fingers. He kind of breathes a moment after doing that, and if you see any others,
Vithedrian has set up with a start, drawn his clockwork pistol, but hit his head on the boat.
Now you gone and woke up the verdict.
right, he just kind of slumps back down where he was sleeping, and God, tots.
Salty does surreptitiously check her clothes and for any bites and anything.
You seem to be okay. Unfortunately, that 23 perception killed my entire storyline.
Ismond will just roll over at all the commotion and like plant his face into the ground and just groan very loudly before forcing himself to stand up. Okay. Let's just start moving, I guess. We're up, right? Let's
No, but we
go
need
home.
tea and eggs. I brought snacks.
You brought eggs?
Egg-like snack. It was made with egg.
It's a quiche, okay? Araya doesn't remember the word for quiche. Quiche. We made it at the Wanderlust. It's fine. It's baked egg tart.
It doesn't compare to Sal's. It's
fine. I'll
subpar
handle the
eggs.
tea.
I'll help.
Yeah, nothing can beat Sal's eggs.
Or Peach's real cooking.
How is it you can make anything sound weird? He says as he starts reading this.
Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say, how you feeling?
He looks like he has spent the entire night staying up in his workshop. Dark rings under his eyes, incredibly disheveled. He looks like shit at the moment. Great. How about you?
Yeah. He kind of checks around him, uh, in the dirt and whatnot. And says, "Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, doing good. Can't wait to use that lightning dynamite again."
Yeah, it wasn't the field test I anticipated, but hey, what better way than by jumping into the deep end? Almost exceptionally literally.
Yeah.
You guys begin. Okay. Yeah, you guys begin to prepare your small breakfast, a bit of tea, there at the edge of the fire. And before you know it, Peach is setting a full plate of breakfast down in the Wanderlust. You have traveled day, made it all the way back to town. Um, you can hear the din of people around and the smell of fresh akeem and fresh cooked food as you've made it home.
Yeah. Okay. GM, give us a timetable. What is the current day and how long before Ava's shield is complete?
I believe that would put us now at the 50th day of autumn. 2 days left until the shield's complete.
All right. Esmond is going to tiredly scoot his seat back and stand up from the table. Oh, that was good. Okay. I have projects to work on, so I am going to get to work on that. If anyone needs me, I'll be in the workshop for the next 2-ish days, I guess, and I guess by that point we'll be ready to leave for Mirwood, right?
Shouldn't we be closing up some of at least the forest portal?
I don't know about
So-
that forest portal. It's not a direct threat as much since we took care of the big Warnaka that came out. And I don't know,
I mean,
Muna's been going there a lot.
it can't be the only big creature on that world, though. And there are other beings that came out of it. Do you remember those tracks? Like Muna's.
But larger, yeah.
Yeah, and Beth mentioned the ones that she saw the other day looking for Muna.
I feel like if we do anything with that portal, we gotta talk to Muna about it. She's bright as any of us, and it has to do with her folks or her world at the very least, or where she was supposed to be born. You know, she's a citizen of looks like the rest of us now, but she wasn't meant
Okay.
for here.
That's fair. I mean, men spends some of us. Some of our people didn't live together before either. But um, it's an open home. I don't like the idea of it being the end of the town, but you're right. She deserves a say in that.
Well, it'll take half a day to get there, so if that's something that we want to do, we have 2-3 days if we want to push it remaining, I suppose, that we could take in preparation for leaving from Airwood. So in that time, we could go and close the portal. I will go wherever you guys need me. Just let me know what we decide to do, but I need to throw some things together for Thedrian before we leave for anywhere else.
It's also okay if you just need a day to recover.
We should also, I mean, Mirwood's gonna be a long trip. Might take a day or so to like really pack for it. How long is it gonna be again? What's the hike?
We're looking at roughly 1 week of travel directly to Mirwood. That's without any distractions or being drawn away anywhere. Yeah, it's 1 week to get there. If we're considering going to the tower, that could add 1, 2, 3 days potentially to the overall trip. And then we don't know how long it's going to take us to resolve whatever the situation is in Mirwood. So I'm actually predicting that we could be gone for upwards of over a month.
Just so you know, the tower and Mirrorwood are not precisely in the same direction. They're about the same distance, but yeah, they're not. They would not be a combined trip.
We can
Well-
try anything, Chris.
Well, I mean, it's getting really cold, and I don't know, it seems like the winter just hit really hard this year. Are we like prepped if it snows real hard? Do we have all the stuff?
Yes, a sled or snowshoes or something like that, or we need to make sure that the town is ready for us to be gone for that long too. We're practically the only healthy adults.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
true.
Sure enough, food supplies and whatnot.
Okay, so
And maybe
just 2 days of prep?
Well, that's if we don't go and close the Arnakis portal as well, which doesn't add a ton of time necessarily, but that would be a full day taken. So whatever is decided on that, we need to account for that and our preparations as well.
What if we like split it up? Who's good at stuff? Like one person do food stuff and like another person do other stuff, and we'll just like, or should we all like just try to figure out stuff for ourselves? I haven't really done a lot of camping in the snow.
Yeah, most of my camping was done in the cart on the way to and from the temple.
I generally
Same
avoid it at
here.
all costs.
It's not fun. Sometimes the sheep lamb in when there's a late snow. Like 3 years ago, do you remember that? That was pretty bad.
Oh, last
Oh,
time
yeah.
I remember camping, it was when Casey and I crashed that damn cart on the way to the temple.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice sleeping under the stars.
I could do without the snow though.
So, in at least 2 days of preparation and maybe tracking down Luna, whatever she is, asking her if she wants to go through the portal or stay here, or decide what to do about that,
Yeah, I
and
think
then make sure people have their routines and they know the food's going well, stores are up as much as we can. And I guess whatever we need to do with the temple, because there's that one there too, right? But that's, you don't want to close that one, right, Aurea?
No, why would we close it? There's still, they can come back.
And we feel comfortable leaving that open while we go on some journey if someone or something may come through it when our people are there.
No.
Well, I mean, it's small enough the sandworms won't be able to fit through it.
Sandworms.
How you go spreading the stories, Casey? You know nothing about no sandworms.
We got sea serpents and sandworms. And giant dinosaurs.
The natural life naturally tends towards snakes.
Of course it does.
Or,
The superior form of existence.
that or
Well,
crabs.
it is a lot more efficient.
Shalati looks just elegantly down at everybody.
Final evolution.
Abandoned legs.
Abandoned
Just-
legs.
Tube.
Become meat tube.
I mean, that's all people are, just complex tube.
People are just sausages with legs.
Too many forks.
Not to get too far off topic, but do we have an order of priority here?
Muirwood first, and then we'll do like investigate the tower thing when we come back, and then go to the temple, something like that, or do we want to change that?
I mean, it can also be discussed up to the tower and Muirwood are not in the same direction necessarily, but we can stay on the path towards both before we would have to veer off to head more strongly in one direction before the other. So we'd maybe get 3 days of traveling before we'd have to veer one direction or the other, maybe.
Well, yeah, that's true. What do you think we're likely to find people at Muirwood? Would we like want to escort them back, or try to, our neighbors back?
Sorry, I want to establish just a little bit of clarity, just so you guys aren't surprised. Like, what do you mean later?
Okay.
Muirwood is southwest. The tower is southeast. They're both actually, about a week from Shepherd's End.
Oh, I was thinking that they were okay. So we couldn't like travel along the path to Muirwood and change direction, and that would take us more directly to the tower necessarily.
Nah, not really.
Is it an equilateral triangle?
Pretty much.
It's a 3-week trip.
Well, if there are survivors in Muirwood, we might be able to help them, but I don't even remember what was said about the tower. There's something there that people were interested in, I think. So
Weapons, right? There was someone said weapons.
Mm.
Supplies? I thought that's all I remember.
I thought someone said weapons were at the tower.
I could have sworn Araya brought it up.
Who's in our present company?
It's yeah.
Is Bethedrin here?
Bethedrin.
Wondering.
It's a good question.
Is
Bethedrin.
Bethedrin with us in the room
Is
right now?
Bethedrin here?
Bethedrin is not in the Wanderlust with you. They're just, they're random townsfolk, but no one's so close to your table that they would hear a hushed voice more than likely, unless they were direct,
Yeah.
intentionally eavesdropping on you.
Unless we specifically invited him, Peach would not make it a habit of like regularly extending the invitation to Bethedrin to come to these like morning meetings.
Yeah, no, he's usually doing stuff. It is pretty abnormal for him to come to the tavern.
I regret mentioning anything about the tower because it has really strained my relationship with some. No, there might be things that are useful there, but I don't know if we need anything there. Don't you feel there are more pressing concerns?
No, we should go there.
She sort of like glances at Esmond to see if he's like just trying to read his face.
Do you guys
There's not
want
anything.
what I think when I remember Vithedrian gave some information about the tower during a conversation at the mayor's house. I think that was public. Is that right? I think so.
The only thing I said was that there might be people sheltering there at the tower, but she recognized it and that someone had mentioned its presence to her. Not.
No, I mean what Vithedrian said about it.
But I'm trying to remember what I said in that meeting because I don't remember making it very interesting.
You just said there might be supplies there.
There we go.
Vithedrian had mentioned something about, I think, the other. Did he mention the story of like the other people exploring it? The other.
Here's a brief overview. Vithedrian said that he'd heard of the tower before because other verdicts had been sent there to stop a threat, and that was he wasn't part of that expedition, and that was years and years ago, more than a decade.
Okay, so based on that, there's no real pressing need for us to go to the tower.
No, we should definitely go there.
Unless Esmond gives meaningful stares. Nope.
I just don't understand why the tower has to be first or Mirkwood has to be first, whichever one. Like, why does it matter which one we do?
Well,
Let's do the
Yeah, what's
tower
the biggest-
first, and that way we can keep Vithedrian around for longer. This is just continually with Crown things.
If we keep stringing him on, he'll just be sick of us.
Okay, and then he'll leave us to go do the quest he was trying to press gang us into doing with him anyway. I think we
Well,
should
he
get the
did
most
help
out
us,
of him we
so
can.
he did help us, so we should do what we said and help him too. Anyway,
but let's-
Mirwood was the biggest city, so I think it would be good to find out if there's anything left there. If
All
there's
right,
supplies, if there's just monsters.
I concur with Shalati on that. If we don't, there's no guarantee of what we could find at the tower, whereas with Mirwood, there's at the very least a chance of us finding survivors and additional supplies. So I think that should be our priority.
yeah,
Those are good points, yeah.
Neighbors might need our help.
We do need more people, and trade would be very helpful.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that first, then just go straight there.
Agreed. Yeah, if we truly want to head to the tower at some point, which I'm not convinced we need to do, honestly. If we do want to do that, then we can talk about it after we've secured whatever we can in Mirwood.
Yeah, I like the idea plenty as long as it's not just going on a mission for Vithedrian. If it's worthwhile for us to go anyway, then I'm with all of you.
Should we research necromancers?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, will we get in trouble? Aren't those books even banned? Like, what can we even find about necromancy in Gilgan's library?
I don't even know if there are any texts available in the town that discuss necromancy in depth.
Yeah,
Well,
surely they wouldn't want
that's
to
true.
teach ourselves it.
Well, the temple has books that are older than any such bans. Maybe there's something.
So there's some story about an evil necromancer being defeated by a valiant and dashing hero.
Does
That would
Doc,
also
does Doc look like she needs the Heimlich maneuver during this conversation?
She's just very quiet with her eyes looking back and forth.
Or we could ask the dwarf. Not all my life, and I keep forgetting his name. It might be good to ask him, the dwarf.
Oh, yeah, what is the dwarf's name?
Lurch
Oh, it's
Pothammer.
Gregory.
Dirge?
Huh?
Pothammer.
Dirge?
Dirge.
Well, the nice one died, so...
Dirge is
Pretty
just
sure.
misunderstood. He's had too many drinks and he did.
I have beef with Dirge that has yet to be resolved.
And you
I'm
know,
fairly certain his
Salinger,
name is Gregory.
haven't
no
you fought them
offense,
then?
but Dirge wasn't racist toward you. He said some pretty nasty thing toward me and Araya, so maybe you can check that privilege.
He was a drunk old dwarf at the time. He'll do better.
Anyway, we should probably also ask him about the World Forge or the Iron Dragonborn thing, since
Yes.
There was that map or those records that the verdict showed that said that that area under the ruin was marked as do not go here, dangerous, etc., etc. It's sort of settled for now, or at least they won't come up, but still, it would be nice to know if there was anything.
Well, whatever we choose to do, it getting to the temple to dig up what we can on necromancers feels like it would take too long, considering it's a 2-day trip at minimum, and that's not accounting for the winter snow getting any deeper, any worse, and we still need to determine if we want to close the Aranakis tear or not. So, my recommendation would be for somebody to go and find Muna and get her opinion on it, and maybe run what we should do about the tear by Vithedrian or any other townsfolk, maybe, just to get general opinions on what would make them feel safer. Like I'll go and help close it if that's what we need to do, but we need to start getting ready for Mirwood, and I need to throw these projects together for the verdict as well. Which reminds me, I'm going to need additional materials, roughly 250 gold pieces worth. But I'll just dig into the old pile of shit in the corner over there.
What are you building? Wait, for what? What are you building now?
Vithedrian asked me to look into crafting him more arcane bullets for his guns, and I can do it. I need the material to do it.
Well, what sort of material? Maybe we can help?
250 GP worth of material.
Like rocks? Planes?
Yes, 250 gold pieces worth of rocks.
Well, no, you're being awfully vague, as...
A lot of rocks.
These are, of
Metal?
course, static values, not representative of, the speculation value or their position in a collapsing economy in which nothing really matters about anymore.
I have some
Metal.
bolts of fabric.
I
I
was
have to establish a silly thing real quick. Sal desperately starts keeping up in a ledger as he has taken on the position of town bookkeeper after the collapse of everything else. Hold on. You do have to be at least slightly specific.
Yeah, what pile? What junk pile?
Yeah, Kevin,
Exactly.
tell us exactly what kind of materials you need to make these bullets.
grab rocks.
Yeah, Kevin.
Come on, Kevin.
Like gem dust? I have some herbs. Your microphone is losing it.
Good old herbal
You're
bullets.
in the same room as him, right? Like, if Kevin dies, you'll be able to try to resuscitate him, do some real life necromancy.
I mean, I
Go
just
back to
want
life.
to help. I can find and forage quite a bit of things, but I need more specifics.
Metal. I don't know.
You just gotta get
More
real
than metal?
specific with her, Az. Tell her exactly what you're looking for, and a ray will fit your every need.
I don't think that's quite what I had in mind
trying.
necessarily. I mean, I do know where there's a deposit of some potatoes, but I don't think that's what you mean.
Still technically
called a
Westcott's
deposit?
property.
I want you to
We
imagine.
were just talking about deposits of potatoes now.
I do think, though, actually, no, I have a good idea. So up where we found the blue chicken in the caves, I think that there are some really potentially useful supplies. We didn't really raid those caves entirely, but I think I can help. No, really.
You just said up in those caves. We just made like a whole
Oh, that's
agreement with
down
some
in those
god of
caves. These ones
dragons.
are up. That's depths, and these are mountain caves. It's not
Well-
like they were claiming the temple caves. Certainly, they
Are we so
wouldn't.
sure? Are we so sure?
I'm-
Because I think
I'm
the only one who can talk to
entirely
them is Casey.
confident. I'll
Well,
go
I
invisibly.
did
I'm really confident.
transcribe. I transcribed the notes of the feldspar chords myself, and it does specifically say depths.
Yeah, I'm going up.
Yes, please don't break it within our generation. Also, how is the verdict even out of bullets? He's barely fired a shot since he's been here.
Right?
Well, he
That
has been busy in the
single
previous town.
gunshot took down the one big Aranaka.
A lot of practice shooting.
I mean, we could just try to.
With his new
Um,
arm, yeah. And like, yeah.
I
No, I
don't
will.
know.
I'll just go to the cave. Sal, come with me to the caverns, please. I think.
Well, we.
No, Sal, help me here at the Wanderlust. I think that Esmond needs to go to the caverns.
I don't think that we have.
No, Sal, help me.
Wait,
I think I want to help Ez in the shop. This is all getting very tense.
I just think that you really. I mean, we don't have to go to the caves. We have the warehouse full of supplies that
The
we
town needs those.
brought back from the wreckage
This
of
is
the train.
for the town. Sort of.
I'm not
No,
getting
Doc is
clear
right.
instructions, and I'm trying to find creative solutions.
No, Doc's right. The train has a lot of supplies.
Yeah, and we brought it all back to the warehouse. Like, I'm sure there's lots of stuff that we can rummage through that.
Was that what you were talking?
Yeah,
Train
we must.
supplies?
I'm only 25% through with that inventory. We can't just start pillaging it right away. It's only been a few months. It's going to take me at least a year.
No,
Takes a year to count things.
But to properly categorize them, organize them, shelve them, subdivide them, and then reorganize them after you figure out what you actually have, yeah.
Sal,
Yeah, and
I
he
thought
can
you
only-
wanted to be an adventurer, not a librarian.
The adventure in that they complement each other. I got to go on the adventures, bring the things back, then put them where they go.
He's right.
But
If
the
he doesn't keep it
caverns is a
organized,
small adventure, and I really know none of you.
Doc, you got something it's like a fly buzzing around you. You keep
Hey,
shaking your head.
It's not off
I mean,
limits. We've been there before, and the scariest thing were the dwarves.
no, let's
I mean-
at least like send some kind of emissary to whatever other, I don't know, official figure we got. We can send him a damn letter.
I
I
think
don't
we're
think there's anything in
overcomplicating
those tunnels.
the materials for poor Esmond here.
I just want to be helpful.
We're never gonna get out of this fucking town.
No. I told you it was a vacuum that's going to suck us back in for the rest of our lives. Sal starts to get a little sweaty.
Side note, Jess is like, one more side quest!
Give
We're
me
gonna
those
be here for
caverns.
years.
Sal,
This is my theory. It's all going bad in Eisendel while we're dicking around in Shep's End.
Salinger, if you had to estimate, you have exactly 4,600 GP worth of miscellaneous materials left over from the wreckage of the
Nice,
Night's Song.
nice.
I would never tell them that. Okay. Like, not the exact number.
So you're saying we have it?
We've definitely got the material to handle it. We don't have to go on any sort of delving or side quests or digging through the caves, especially risking.
I really don't think there's a risk.
It's Casey's work that I don't want to risk. He did such a good job that he leans in and kind of whispers, when he does something right, we really need to support it. Like, that was very good.
Did he tell us that it was close?
I gave that priest my word that if we met again, it would
I'm
be
not
their
going
end.
down.
We don't
I'm
need to
going.
force this.
I'm going
We
up
can
and
hold to the
sideways.
accords.
Yeah, or those aren't the same tunnels at all, right?
They're not.
Right, but they might have like some kind of monopoly or claim monopoly on anything that isn't up. And who are they to think that
This
up is only
definitely
up? It might be sideways.
No,
Right,
the
but it might
accords
be
are
up
very
is
clear.
what
We
they
must
mean
not go
toward
back
the
down
light.
there.
I'm not going down. I'm going up. A mountain. I really don't see the problem here.
Have Casey write you a damn note or something.
Not
Just
like a
have to
permission
have-
ticket.
Yes, saying you're
Hall
here with
pass
permission
from the King of
from
Up.
the King of Up. Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
wait. I just
Passport.
remembered. We could go to once we get back because the caverns are so much nicer a few months from now when we return.
Oh yeah, we could slip and fall
the
down the
weather?
cabins and end up in the
Yes.
depths because of the ice.
Uh
Dangerous.
huh. Exactly. Yes.
I see where you're going.
she winks back.
Okay, I'll get it out of my mind if I must.
Just push it back a little bit.
Sit here.
Let's see if we
I
can
have
find
that
enough.
stuff.
Yeah, I'll take it. Let's go to the warehouse.
So,
Araya sort of like spins her teacup in her hands.
Sal makes you list the exact list of materials so that I can actually fetch it for you at the warehouse. Off screen.
Come on.
Out of character, Kate has to go to bed soon.
Oh.
Sorry, folks. Tomorrow we're having our open house, and I need to pack some more stuff so that my room looks a little like there's more space in it.
I don't know, go to. I've been interested to do literally everything for the packing. So, I mean, I can stay for a little while. But
Yeah.
soon.
I'm gonna stick around for like a conclusion if it's but just can't hang around for another hour.
Yeah, no, that'll be. I think it needs one. Yeah, no, as you settle back into the familiar warmth, of the tavern, steam rising out of the teacups and the plates of delicious food. You at least have some moments of warmth and comfort here before you'll head back into the road, whichever way you guys decide to go. But that's where we'll end, or you might go to caves. Who knows?
Hey.
Araya, please don't break the feldspar cords.
Yeah.
I want it to hold at least 2 generations.
At least until I finish the drawing of the feldspar accords, we can't break them.
The temple's in a cave. Is that suddenly also off limits?
Maybe.
It's an argument for next week,
Absolutely
Araya.
not.
I see why she got in so much trouble with the order.
Mm-hmm.
Dare.
All right, folks, I gotta get to packing. It was amazing playing with all of you. Thank you, Brittany, for a great game.
No.
no.
I guess well. Bye now.
All right. Good night, gang.
Yeah.
So I need to just say how happy I am that everything worked out the way it did with the lightning dynamite, because Esmond, you knew exactly what you were doing. If you had started at half strength, the gem would have exploded. He would have rolled a 9 on the first check, and the gem would have exploded. But you started at the lowest strength, you rolled a 9, moved up 1, rolled just above the check, moved up 1, or closed it, and hit the check again. No, it was exactly perfect the way that you did it.
I just also like that I come back from my VFX meeting and it's like, oh, Rio was right. And I was like, what? Yeah. What was I right about?